Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order today, February 17 at 7 p.m. We have a working agenda in front of us. I'll go ahead and read it, starting with a call to order. With word to Councilmember Yakuta.
Present.
Woodall.
I'm here.
Councilmember Carter. Present. Councilmember Hoffbauer.
Present.
And myself. That gives us a 500 full quorum as presented. Item number 2, review of the agenda. Mayor and Council review the agenda for meeting, adding or deleting topics of interest or discussion. Item number 3, presentation, discussion, FY 2027 proposal budget, 20 minutes. City Manager Karush Kamali and Finance Consultant Ronald Wilson will present the FY 2027 proposed budget for the Mayor and Council. Item number 4, discussion on Resolution 02-2026 appointing Mr. Derek Reynolds and Ms. Jasmine White to the Ethics Commission. The Mayor and Council will have a discussion resolution number 02-2026. Item number 5, discussion and simple resolutions, 15 minutes. Mayor and Council had to address simple resolutions. Item number 6, discussion annual dues for Prince George's County Municipal Association, PGCMA, 15 minutes. The Mayor and Council will have a discussion on the annual dues for PGCMA. Discussion on selecting members for the Scholarship Committee. Mayor and Council will discuss selecting members for the Scholarship Committee. Item number 8, discussion on state legislative priorities. Mayor and Council will have a discussion on their priorities for the state and legislative session. Item number 9, discussion on minutes for January 6th legislative meeting. The Mayor and Council will have discussion on amending the minutes for January 6th legislative meeting. Item number 10, presentation of minutes. The City Clerk will present the minutes for February 3rd legislative meeting and minutes to Mayor and Council. Number 11, adjournment. For upcoming events, we do have the Thomas S. Stone Elementary, in partnership with the City of Rainier Black History Month Showcase on Thursday the 26th. At Thomas Stone at 6 p.m. We have our scheduled budget hearing for March 21st here at Potts Hall. The Egg Hunt or Spring Fair will be on Saturday, March 28th from 11 to 1 at the Nature Center. Mount Rainier Day, Saturday, May 16th from 11 to 4 at the Nature Center. All right, so I think that concludes the agenda. I would like to ask if there's anything you guys would like to add, Council, delete, or edit on the agenda, and I'll call you guys by name so that way I get you guys need to tell me what you guys want to do, if any. All right, I'm starting with Ward 1. Jenny?
No additions or deletions.
Danielle?
I'm good.
Valerie?
No changes, thank you.
Joseph?
I'm satisfied with the agenda.
Okay, that is no changes to the agenda. All right, so we have a working agenda. We'll move over to item number 3, presentation, discussion, FY. But before we move, I want to make sure to let people know you can watch the meeting on Facebook Live. We don't have Zoom capability right now, so I don't want you guys to think that we have removed that away from certain people. We just don't have it. You can see the meeting on Facebook, and within this week, the link to be able to see the meeting on our YouTube should be able to be facilitated as well. All right, so now that we're on the same page, moving on to item number 3, presentation, discussion, FY 27, proposed budget. City Manager Karush Kamali, Finance Consultant Ronald Wilson. You have the full name, Ron. Will present the FY 27 proposed budget for the Mayor and Council. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council, and people that are joining us tonight. Thank you for this opportunity to present the City Manager's proposed budget for fiscal year 2027. Ron Wilson. Ron is a finance consultant for the city, and I have worked diligently to create a balanced budget, including a modest contingency that does not cut the city services, does not increase tax rates, or required usage of the fund balance. This process has been challenging due to the city's operating revenue, of which 61% are real estate taxes. which are increasing by only 1% over the fiscal year 2026. So we have only 1% increase on our major revenue. Also, I appreciate the efforts of the city's directors and staff, as well as the various committees in assisting in creating this proposed budget. Having said that, I will turn it over to Ron, and I appreciate your patience. If there is any question, we'll be glad to answer at the end of this Ron's, presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Ron. The mic is yours.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for this opportunity. This is a short summary presentation of the budget. Obviously, we will have a much more detailed discussion in the work session on March 21st, but you all have received the detailed budget, and hopefully you had a chance to look at it already. So the highlights of this presentation, we'll do a quick review of the budget schedule. We'll do a budget overview, a breakdown, and then we'll have opportunity for questions at the end. So the schedule, obviously we've already done February 13, and we're doing February 17 today, in which we present the budget. On March 5th, we publish a notice on the hearing that's scheduled for March 21st. That says March 22nd. That's incorrect. It's March 21st. Then on March 21st, we have a public hearing and public comment, as well as a council work session. That's a Saturday. That's generally an all-day event. On April 7, there is discussion of the proposed budget and reading of the budget ordinance into the record. As well, there's the public hearing on that proposed budget and any discussion by council. In the past, those two things have been on separate days, but this year we're combining them on the same day. On April 21st, there's a second reading of the fiscal 27 budget and a possible vote on that day. If we're still working on some last minute items and cannot vote on that day, then we've set aside May 5th or June 2nd for final votes on the budget ordinance. Our goals for this budget are to maintain a proper level of city services and their quality, as well as for public safety and infrastructure. We want to pay current costs with current revenues, meaning that we do not plan to use fund balance at this point. And then we also want to maintain the stability of the tax structure. It has been many years since the city was forced to increase taxes, and we consider that a win for the residents of the city. The breakdown of this budget compared to fiscal 26, real estate revenue continues to grow, but slowly. The days of large annual increases in property values are past us. And if we don't change the rates, that means that the revenue also grows at that slow pace as well. Speed camera revenue from new citations is down significantly. Although we do have a new vendor, we're hoping that will recover somewhat, but probably will never reach the levels that it did a few years ago. Now, that decrease has been partially offset by collections of old amounts, not entirely. And as that gets worked down, then that will also taper down and eventually go away. On the positive side, the Safe Streets for All, the SS4A grant will continue. And we are budgeting for $1.9 million being funded through this grant for fiscal '27. The next page is a chart of the revenue sources. I'm not going to go over each one unless you have questions about it. But I will point out two things. One is that a very large percentage of our revenue comes from taxes, and most of that is the real estate taxes. In this budget, more than a fifth of our revenue is coming from grant sources. These have been very important to us for the last several years. They continue to be, and they will be going forward as well. The city is able to do a lot of things with that grant revenue that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. The budget breakdown compared to fiscal '26, we are proposing a 5% COLA increase for all city staff. In addition to that, the police officers who are covered by the collective bargaining agreement also get a 2% merit. That's in the agreement, in the CBA. We have a contingency of just under $51,000 in this budget. We have also budgeted $500,000 for streets and sidewalks from our operating funds. That is our portion of the SS4A programs, and $1.9 million will come from the grant. So altogether, that's nearly $2.5 million of work on streets and sidewalks that we get to do by leveraging our $500,000. This also is a chart that I won't go into details, but I will point out a few things. One, wages and benefits are the lion's share of our budget. In addition, more than a fifth of our expenses are related to the grants. So they're covered by the grant revenue, okay? Our employee headcount has changed ever so slightly this coming year. General government continues to have 3 FTEs. Administrative services has 6 FTEs. That's up by 1 because the social services coordinator has been transferred over to administrative services. Economic development has 0 FTEs in the upcoming year, and all of those duties have been reassigned to other staff members, including the city manager, and we anticipate being able to maintain our grant activity in economic development. Public safety, the police department has 22 FTEs. That's down, I'm sorry, FTE stands for full-time equivalent for anybody who doesn't know. Public safety, the police department has 22 FTEs. That's down 1 because of the transfer of the social services coordinator into administrative services. So between administrative services and public safety, there was no overall loss. There was just 1 person that was reassigned. Code compliance has 4 FTEs, and that's unchanged. Public Works has 10 FTEs. That's also unchanged. So the total head count for the upcoming year is 45 FTEs. That's down 1 from the budget for fiscal year '26. Ongoing developments. As I said earlier, real estate values, while increasing, are increasing at a slower pace than in the past. As well, taxable personal income, we do get income tax. It's called shared state income tax. It's about $1 million a year. That grows, but again, it grows fairly slowly. Grant activity remains strong. The capstone there is the $1.9 million for the SSA4 grant. That particular grant is quite large. This is a multi-year grant. It's $12.5 million over 5 years. Of that $12.5 million, our share is 20%, and the federal government is 80%. So it was a major win for the city when that came in. This last page is an overall summary of the budget numbers. Again, I'm not going to read every line, but I will point out that total revenue and total expenses are the same number, so it's a balanced budget, and that's coming in at just under $12 million. And then we're open for any questions you might have.
Thank you so much. It's, as we have mentioned in the beginning, this is just our city manager and financial consultant. They just turn in, for those that are not aware of how the process works, they turn the budget to us on Friday, and then today they just basically give us a brief summary. Then we're going to have other meetings where we're going to go in depth line item by line item, and usually the directors show up, and then we go on it. So I'm going to go through council to see if they have any questions. One thing just to point out, so if you guys could fix the date that was that needs to be fixed on it, that will help. And number two, regarding the cameras, if we could make an asterisk to make sure people know that, yes, the revenue has gone down, but also means that people are driving safer because they're not running they're not driving faster to be able to get those citations. So it's not necessarily on our end, which at the end of the day, the reason why the cameras were put there wasn't to increase funding, it was to make sure our roads were safer. So I think that they've been doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that's the positive side of those revenues not increasing. And if they increase, that means we have a heavy problem in people speeding in the same location once again. So at least that's the positive side of that. Okay, so I went to Ward 1, now I'm going to go to Ward 2. Valerie Joseph, go ahead.
Thank you for presenting this and working on this budget. I know it's a lot of work, but I am impressed to see that 80% of our budget is put into people, grants, community activities, and infrastructure. That's our main costs. So I think that's really exciting. And I think, I guess, picking back off of what Mayor Benita said, the speed camera might be down, but are we allocating funds for the stop sign camera revenue that might be coming as a result of
the stop sign camera? Right now, we are in process of finalizing the contract. Their attorney is reviewing it until last Friday. I talked to them, and once we get the contract in place, it's going to take 30 to 60 days to be implemented. So right now, we're not projecting anything unless we get to it and then see how the revenue is going to play. But I would like to also let everyone know that on Queens Chapel Road, I'm working with the vendor and SHA to get the permit for this speed camera on the south side where it belongs to the city. So that could be another source. As Ron mentioned, we have so many past due tickets. So right now we're working with Municipal Collection of America. It's a vendor that is collecting pretty good money for us. So we're hopefully, in this budget, we're looking at $700,000. But right now we're looking at every 2 weeks when we get the payment, and the payment doesn't represent even close to $700,000. So we're keeping our finger crossed. And hopefully the stop sign camera is going to help. Also, the new speed camera on Queens Chapel Road, it's going to help us to sustain at $800,000, hopefully.
Thank you, and I know we're going to have a lot more discussion about this in the future, so thank you.
Thank you. And that was Route 500. Originally was in the plan, but as they were working and fixing it, we had put a pause on it. So that was part of the bigger, larger plan when it came to implementing the cameras in that side of the city as well. Right, Joseph?
Thank you, Mr. Kamali and Ron, for this. I do budgets in my day job, and I know how much work you guys have put into this, and to get it done in such a quick time, and all the staff. Thank you for giving all your information. This is really, this is a team project, and you guys have done great work. I did have. I'm also interested in the stop sign cameras, as Councilmember Woodhull is. The other question I had was there was one probably middle of the road capital project that I was interested in hearing if you're going to be able to include in this budget, if you're going to have the estimates for them. That's fixing whatever is wrong with the street lights that are around the traffic circle, because I know you guys did a great effort to try and get it to work, but it's still not there yet. So I know it's an important safety thing.
Thank you, Joseph. As you know that this is a very chronic issue we've been dealing with. So we have 37 decorative lights, which is in the commercial district area. Right now we have electric company named Hawkins. Hawkins is searching for the shortage and see. Right now today we got the news that they fixed some issues. Tonight the lights should be up, but we are trying to get to the bottom of it. Once I got the proposal, as I responded today, I will definitely include it in my budget. And if I need to, because between now and May, we definitely have some answers. So we know, but I don't want to go, just put some numbers over there until I have the proposal and the proof. What is wrong with it? And we need to fix it because it's a safety issue. And I really want to fix it no matter what. But right now I got electric company working on it.
Thank you.
All right, Danielle, Jenny?
Thank you. Mr. Kamali, this is the third budget I've been here with you. I have to say that this proposal, your presentation tonight was so much better because we were actually in person. So I really appreciate all of the efforts that you went through to make sure that this could happen. I do have some questions. You know I'm going to have questions, but I'm going to email them to you so that we can discuss them that way. I have a comment and a question I'd like to put on the record.
Sure.
And we can discuss it in email later. I just want to make sure it's on the record for the community. My comment is that, and this should not be a shot to you or Ron because I mentioned it last year, is I would like the city to consider increasing the vacant lot and business tax rate from $2.50 per $100 assessment to $4 for this coming year, and then raise it another $1 in the upcoming year. I feel that there's not enough incentive for people to fill these vacancies, including the lots and businesses and homes. And I feel that would be one way to fill in a little bit of revenue at least, and also get an incentive to bring more business tax revenue. I know my residents in Ward 1 feel that they're paying the lion's share of taxes because we have all these vacant businesses, and they feel that it would be a little less stinging if these businesses were filled and their tax revenue was coming in. I noticed that we're almost out of time. I'd like to make a motion that we add 5 minutes to the timer, please.
There's a motion on the floor to add 5 more minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's probably moved in second. Any discussion? Objections? Abstentions? Here none. Can you go ahead and add, once it runs out, 5 more minutes? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, please.
So that's my comment about the taxes. Again, that should not be a shot to you or Ron because I mentioned it last year. And then my question is, what is the projected percentage growth for general revenue for the upcoming year? I think you said 1%, or did I misunderstand that?
No, that was 1% over the property
Gotcha.
tax.
I'll
Residential.
clarify that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the property
Ron.
tax alone, we're projecting a 3% increase.
Okay.
The overall operating revenue, so that would not include the grants, we are projecting 1%.
Okay, not including grants. Okay.
And if you look at the budget book, which I sent it to you on the revenue, it shows the 3%.
Great. I just wanted to make sure it got on the record. Thank you, Mr. Kamali. Thank you, Ron.
So can you guys do me a favor? I know we're kind of new with the time. Along with it, can you guys find a way to also make sure we stay within the 3 minutes per speaker. So that way it's tied up with both, okay? So usually like I used to have a little chat that used to be like letting me know, but that way we let the speaker know as much as we can. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Jenny.
Thank you for your work on this. I really appreciate the 5% COLA increase. I'm sure that was difficult to get, but I think it's well earned. So I have a couple of procedural questions. First, it looks like you effectively abolished the Department of Economic Development in this budget, and it is nearly zeroed out. And as you know, that's a power. Abolishing department is a power reserved to the mayor and council under section 402A14 of the charter. So I believe that we should discuss this at the March work session, which occurs prior to the budget meeting. So just know that we need to have that on the agenda for the March work session. Just the question of the Economic Development Department and whether, and I understand that you may argue that it's not an abolition, but I think it needs to be discussed.
Okay, definitely, but I want to let you know that I only eliminate the position. The department is there. I'm running that department. I'm attending the meetings. I'm working on the grant. So it's up to the council, but I don't see any reason that we need to take it out for now. And as you see that, I put $3,000 in the Main Street. I'm working with the DHCD. So, but to me, it was not to the city's benefit to have a position that would cost me $200,000. I'd rather put some on my plate, which I'm doing it right now. But if you guys want to talk about it, I'll be glad. I'm open to it. We can discuss that.
Thank you.
And
I have one other question. I understand that there's going to be some budget amendments for the current fiscal year. Can we see those prior to, like, how soon can we get that information? Because I'm curious about the overages for the current fiscal year and would like to have that information prior to the budget work session.
well, if you want to see the surplus, we have to wait until we close the book.
But I'm asking
Talking about
the
the
specific budget amendments.
Well, the budget amendment, we always, bring to your attention.
But I'd like for the timing. It's a question about the timing.
Can
I
we
mean,
please
it
avoid going
depends.
back and forward as much as we can?
Yeah.
So give time for the city
It
manager to
depends,
answer.
we look at the budget, we see it every day, and if we need to take an action, we'd definitely do that. But right now, I cannot promise when I'm gonna have the budget amendment. And maybe, Ron, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, maybe there's a little clarification that might help. So we do not make a routine assessment of all the budget line items and then do an amendment to move stuff back and forth. The budget amendments really are two things. Mostly it's grants that came about after the budget was set. So there's always several new grants that we need to stick into the budget, and we wait until the spring to do them all at once. The other is every once in a while, some major unplanned expense will come up. So a recent one was the EV trucks. We got a grant for it. We also had some expense on our side that needed to go into it, and we came to the council to do the budget amendment at that time. But we don't go through the budget line by line and move stuff around. That would be an unwieldy process.
So let me just add something to Ron's. That budget amendment was pulling the money from the fund balance. We did not move around the money, and I cannot do that because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow to Public Works, trash truck. Last financial report I gave you guys, I'm sorry, $90,000 I had to spend. So I think, as Ron said, we'll do our best. Let me put it this way.
Time has run out.
Sorry.
I know that, just keep in mind that Ping has been raising the signs, but there's also a timer in the back. So if you guys keep track of what the signs are, it'll allow for me not to try to interrupt you, so it makes it easier. And the other thing is, like, remember not to be going back and forth because that adds extra time to the 3 minutes on it. The time has run out. I will ask for 2 more minutes to make a brief comment. And that's it. So I'll put a motion on the floor to add 2 more minutes to this discussion.
I'll second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion on it? Objections, abstentions, hearing none. 2 more minutes have been added to the clock. When you're ready, Pink. Okay. So thank you guys so much for clarifying the budget. The reason why this was done was because we wanted to make sure we had enough time for the community and for council to be able to look at it before a big meeting. And the reason why that Saturday meeting was created was for us to go line item by line item by line item, and also bring the director so that we had a question directly for them. We could go ahead and do it. The other thing is like to bring up to the attention that you mentioned, right? Some of the expenses happen in the spring just because it's better timing for us to be able to build and construct and do certain things. So that's what sometimes the beginning might feel a little bit lighter, and at the end it feels a little bit heavier. The other thing is like to bring to attention is that when we get the money for the taxes from our residents, from the county and the state and anything else, they don't give us one check for everything. They put it like in chunks at a time, depending as they collect them. So we could sit here and say like, okay, we're expected to have this much money in taxes. However, they will distribute them through the year. We get 2 big chunks and then little ones around that end. So the way that we work is like we don't want to spend everything up front because we want to make sure the money's in our account before we make any other decision. In saying that, I hope it helped clarify a little bit on the reason why it might seem at the end it's a little bit more heavy with certain things, but also why is it that it works that way. So I will be submitting my questions. Thank you for also clarifying there is a difference between closing a department and not having a person and substituting other people's in that position. I think that's what, if I correctly stated, like when it comes to kind of on. So therefore, it's 2 different things that we're seeking. Okay. All right. In saying that, thank you guys. We'll have 1,000 more questions coming your way. But every year, I feel like more professional the budget happens, which means less budget amendments, less having to like nitpick certain things, which makes the process a lot smoother. So thank you for that. Yes.
Before you guys send any question to me, can I take some vacation, please?
You're
Because
just
you
on
guys are
vacation.
coming with a big list, and I want to make sure I can compete with that. I'm sorry.
You're fine, within reason, obviously. Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you so much to both of you. Okay, the whole entire team, because I know directors, committees, and everybody else contribute to this. All right, so Ron, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. All right, so moving on to item number 4. Discussion resolution number 02-2026, appointing Mr. Derek Reynolds and Ms. Jasmine White to the Ethics Commission. Mayor and Council will have a discussion on the resolution. So before we do that, because I rather always prefer for us to have the discussion and not have to read the document in front. We're happy to have both Derek and Jasmine here present. I would like to know if you guys could give us at least a minute or 2 about you guys for the community to hear. And Derek, I'm going to go with you first because you just happen to be the first one on the list. And if you go to the podium, Jasmine, you're also here. Just tell us. So look, I'm not going to make it hard for you. 1 beautiful minute of you. You could do more, but go ahead.
So anything in particular that you'd like to know?
Your name, who you are, simple. Anything you'd like to share with the community?
Sure. My name is Derek Reynolds. I have been living in Mount Rainier for about 8 years now. Mount Rainier, sorry. I was corrected last year. I'm trying to do that. I worked for many years in the nonprofit sector. I lived overseas for 13 years. I speak Spanish, Arabic, French, Portuguese, and a couple others. And I am interested in serving. I ran last year for city council, and this year I was encouraged to look for a committee, and this is one that fits very well with my background of working in compliance and conflict of interest and ethics. I knit, I weave, I sew, I crochet, and volunteer at the food bank in my neighborhood as well.
All right, perfect. See, wasn't that hard, right?
Nope.
Jasmine, you got the floor next. Go ahead. I know, usually when you start talking, you're like, man, I don't know what to say. And then you're like, wait a minute, I could say 1,000 things. Go ahead, the mic is yours.
Okay. Well, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Jasmine. I've been in Mount Rainier for about 5 years. I moved here in the middle of the pandemic. So how exciting. I have a 9-year-old. She's a local at Mount Rainier Elementary. And I volunteer for the Thanksgiving basket, the Christmas basket, and I'm also on the scholarship committee. I've been on that committee for about 3 years now, and believe that ethics committee is a great place where I think Mount Rainier just is as a whole great, and we need ethics all around. So yeah, and I do have a green thumb, so that's great. I want to learn how to knit though. That's it.
So you guys could hang out together. There you go. Thank you so much. All right, so you have heard from both members of the community who wish to join. As a matter of process, I want to make sure to let the community know that their applications, usually when you submit it, they're sent to the committees. They were sent to the committee chair, and there was no objection from the committee itself to move you guys forward. That's more or less why you're here. So there's like a community involvement portion of it in order for it to make it here. So congratulations to both of you. So today we're just going to talk about the resolution so you guys are aware. And on the next meeting, the first Tuesday of March, you guys will come in, and if voted in, you guys will be sworn in on the same day. So that way we can move you across. And then this is one of the committees that does not have a liaison. So we'll send you to Mr. Kamali and Melissa, and then they direct you guys. We do it so that way there's no conflict of interest between elected officials on it, so that staff run it. In saying that, I'm going to open up the floor to council to see if they have any remarks, or we'll move forward after we read, reread the resolution from the top, okay? So council, I'm going to go one of each at a time. And if you have anything to say, go ahead and say your comments as I'm getting ready to pull the resolution so we can read it. So we're going to go Jenny, Danielle, Valerie, and Joseph. Go ahead.
Thank you both for applying to be on the commission. I do have a concern about Ms. White being on a committee that gives out city funds, and at the same time being on the ethics commission. We don't have any hard and fast rules about this. So it's really just a question of what I have seen is that the ethics commission seems to be partitioned off, right? So we don't have a liaison, they have a different attorney. And I think in line with that kind of separation of the ethics commission, we probably should not have anyone serve on it as well as a committee that gives out city funds. That's my only comment.
So a point of clarity, if you guys notice in the agenda, we'll be discussing the selection of the new scholarship committee members. So right now we have no scholarship committee members. Their names were listed in order for you guys to know who was in the commission. And so Ms. Jasmine White, it is not in the scholarship commission at this point. So there's no funds to be dispersed when it comes to this commission. And I'll go ahead and talk into that, how you get selected to the scholarship committee, because it's a direct appointment, directly made by each one of you. So you guys basically submit a name to the city manager, and then we vote on them. So there is no commission at this point because we don't have a scholarship committee. So just FYI, okay? So that is the next item, one of the next items on the agenda under item number 7, okay? Hopefully that clears up that information. All right, Danielle, go ahead.
Awesome, thank you. For those of you who don't know, I like to prepare little things and read them so I stay on topic. As a lifelong volunteer and a volunteer coordinator, I would like to make a statement to both of you. Thank you both for your willingness to serve on the Ethics Commission. Choosing to volunteer your time, your energy, and your thoughtfulness is never a small thing. Being a volunteer benefits the community, but it also helps shape you as a person. It takes a special kind of individual to serve neighbors you may never meet and to care about outcomes that may never directly affect you. That kind of selflessness matters more than people often realize. Ethics is not a light assignment. It asks you to look into situations carefully and fairly, to set aside personal feelings, relationships, and assumptions, and to focus on what is right for the city as a whole. That can be a heavy responsibility. There is no applause line in this work, and often no recognition beyond quiet appreciation, but it is essential work. I truly appreciate both of your willingness to take this on, and I have confidence that you will serve with integrity, thoughtfulness, and care for this community we all share. Thank you both.
Valerie and Joseph?
Thank you, Ms. White and Mr. Reynolds, for serving and opting into serving. That's really important for our community, and I thank you both.
Joseph?
First, I want to say thank you to Mr. Reynolds for being willing to serve. I was honored to run in the same race as you, and I saw you're a man of character. And I also wanted to say to Ms. White, I'm glad that you're serving as well. You've had a history of serving with this community. I'm glad to see that the one question we had seems to be ironed out. So I'm looking forward to next in 2 weeks when we have a legislative session. Also, I'm glad to know that both of you are Ward 2 residents. So we got the ward in the house. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you guys so much. I already gave you guys my thank you and my appreciation, and I will move forward to reading the resolution because I know as much as you guys love to volunteer, there's 1,000 things you guys choose to do as well, right? All right, so this is a resolution 02-2026. This is not up for vote, it's just for read through in order for us to be able to be aware of what we're gonna be voting on. All right, introduced by Mayor and City Council, a resolution of the City of Mount Rainier appointing Derek Reynolds and Jasmine White to the Ethics Commission. Whereas the City Council of the City of Mount Rainier have established an Ethics Commission in accordance with the City Charter and applicable laws, and whereas the Commission was established to hear and decide with the advice of the City Attorney or other legal counsel, if appropriate, all complaints filed regarding alleged violations of Chapter 1D of City Code by any person, and whereas vacancies exist on the Ethics Commission, it is the best interest of the city to appoint qualified individuals to serve. And I strongly feel this is the case. Okay, whereas Derek Reynolds and Jasmine White, residents of the City of Mount Rainier, are qualified and willing to serve on the Ethics Commission, and whereas the City Council decides to appoint Derek Reynolds and Jasmine White to the Ethics Commission for the terms provided by the law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Mount Rainier, Maryland, that appointment of Derek Reynolds and Jasmine White are hereby appointed to serve as members of the Ethics Commission of the City of Mount Rainier. The term appointments should be a period of 3 years, commencing on March 3rd, 2026, expiring March 6, 2029, or until their prospective successors are duly appointed and qualified in accordance with the city charters and applicable laws. Effective date, this resolution take effect immediately upon the adoption. And will be adoption and swearing in, but we'll add that one, okay? This is resolution spelled S-R-E-S-O. So we need to respell that one. It's adopted by the City of Mount Rainier, day and whatever. Okay, so again, this is not for vote tonight. We just want to make sure you guys know what the document is. We should try to read them so that way if there's errors we need to fix, we take care of it before the official day. All right, so in saying that, I thank both of you guys for choosing to step out to volunteer for the community in this capacity. I know you guys have both volunteered in other capacities, so thank you for that. And in saying that, you guys are welcome to stay or go on your merry life, okay? Thank you guys so much, okay? All right, moving on to item number 5. There's a comment on, for work session, usually we don't take comments, but we'll figure it out. Okay, what's the comment on Facebook? You have to read it.
It's a comment from Ms. Ware. FYI, there are still 2 Pepco street lamps out at the
Okay, wait,
circle.
hold on. Let's pause it. Let's make sure something is clear, right? When we're reading comment, it has to be for the item itself. In this case, was the appointment for Mr. Derek Reynolds and Jasmine White. If it's not in that line, we're gonna have to skip it and we could review it after. And thank you for submitting the information. If you could send it to the city, it will help, but we try to stick with what the item is, okay? I know I saw both Jasmine and Derek going, what comment is about a resolution? Nothing, apparently. All right, but thank you guys both. All right, so moving forward, let's go ahead and make sure that if it's not attached to the item itself, we'll skip it through and just type like, we'll get back to them. Okay? All right, perfect. Thank you so much. So I guess you're welcome to stay or go. Apology for that. All right, moving on to the next item, discussion and simple resolutions, 15 minutes. The mayor and council will discuss how to address simple resolutions. Okay? Give me 1 minute as Pink is working through time. Ready, Pink? Okay, thank you. So as you guys could be a little bit patient as we're working through the new system. It's gonna take a little bit of time sometimes, okay? So I'm opening the floor for discussion on simple resolution. So I'm gonna have to start writing it down which side I go. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna go, Ward 1, Danielle, go ahead.
I am not the one who asked for this to be placed on the agenda. I would like to hear from the council members who asked this to be placed, to hear their arguments for it, if I may.
That's just not the way the meeting goes. You guys could do a presentation if you want to, but arguments to present is not the way the meeting goes.
Okay,
So
well,
let
my
me-
comment then.
Okay, go ahead. What's your
Okay,
comment?
so my comment on simple resolutions, as I understood them in the past meetings, is that simple resolutions that do not bear the weight of law do not need to go through the same scrutiny and process that something like a legislative resolution would. If something is an emergent or is under a timeline with a deadline, a reading like you just did with the resolution for the Ethics Commission. We'll vote on it at the next meeting. 14 days passes and it goes. That's a simple resolution. I feel that that's the same thing that was talked about previously. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that if it does not bear the weight of law, then it should be allowed to be read into the record at a work session or legislative session, whichever, like we've done also back in September with the appointments of Mr. Kamali and Melissa and the vice mayor, and then voted on at the next meeting. 14 days is state law. And if it doesn't bear the weight of law, I think that a simple resolution like that should move with that process. Thank you.
Okay, so point of clarification. Appointments fall under a certain thing because they go a longer process. So it's not like, Mr. Reynolds submitted their application 14 days ago and it got clear for today. It went through a backdoor process. The emergency resolutions that you are discussing are different than simple resolution and resolutions and ordinance. So it's 5 different things that you just discussed in the very short time that's on it. So I want to make sure that we clarify what is each in order to make sure we separate.
Right, I understand. Clarification on that too, just to make sure you understand where I was going with talking about the resolution to appoint them. The process to get them to where we read this tonight is immaterial. I'm talking about what comes before the council. So the fact that we read the resolution into the record tonight and then 14 days later we vote on it, that's a simple resolution. That's what I was talking about. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jenny?
So from what I can tell, the city charter clearly distinguishes simple resolutions from substantive resolutions, and that's section 307A 1A. So simple resolutions, like making appointments to city committees, or setting forth positions of support or opposition of the city government on a particular subject. So simple resolutions that I've seen come before the council since I've been on the council have been appointments to city committees, like we saw tonight. There was a resolution back in September to change the registered agent to Ms. Sam, and there was a simple resolution regarding the Landover to express our opinion on the Landover data center. Substantive resolution, which is defined in Section 307A1B, is used, for example, to amend the charter. And these are distinguished in the council charter and the charter of the city. And they have been distinguished in the council rules, but they haven't been distinguished in practice. And I would like them to be distinguished in practice. I think that we should stick to what's in the charter and the council rules that clarify that a substantive resolution has to go through 2 readings, so 2 separate sessions, but a simple resolution does not. And I think we need to clarify it. We also can be done away with the actual reading of the resolutions that is not required in the charter or in the council rules. And I would like to simplify our processes to make the council meetings more accessible and shorter. Thank you.
Thank you. One point of clarity, the data center was not a resolution. It was just a support letter. So no resolution was moved forward with that. Valerie Joseph?
Thank you, and thank you everyone for bringing this discussion to attention. I think I agree that in the charter it says that we should only vote on substantive resolutions and or not vote, but to have 14 days between the two. But I do think the reason that we've had this practice in the past is to create more accessibility for residents to hear what we're talking about, have 14 days to process between first reading, second reading, and vote. We haven't had a lot of contentious meetings, so this has been a practice that I thought was okay. But if we want to go back to simple resolutions being read, going right through without any secondary comment, I think that's okay. I just want to make sure that we're clear that it was a process that was put in place so that people had the opportunity to discuss things, especially as we were in virtual as opposed to being in person over the course of the last 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you, Mayor. Of course, residents are going to have an opportunity to look at resolutions because we're not going to introduce the resolution in a first reading without having talked about it before. We are required, according to our council rules, to discuss it at a work session. So the public is now informed, for instance, that we're going to be discussing at the next legislative session the appointment of Mr. Reynolds and Mrs. White to the Ethics Committee because we discussed that resolution. So there's still an ample opportunity for the public to provide comment. Additionally, according to our legal counsel, I'm going to read verbatim, regarding actions on resolutions. Most jurisdictions that I'm familiar with do not have second readings on resolutions. Your charter uses the term substantive resolution with respect to defining those that require a second reading by identifying specifically only charter amendment resolutions. I agree that those require a second reading, as do annexation resolutions, but that is true because of state law, even if your charter didn't address it. I can't really think of any others that would qualify. Most other substantive enactments require the use of an ordinance rather than a resolution. From reading what our general counsel says for the city, the simple resolutions do not require the additional reading. It also prolongs the process, preventing our ability to do further work because we have to address resolutions 3 times essentially for a simple matter such as making an appointment. That is why we really should honor what our charter says. And of course, if there is something that is controversial, we can discover it. And we always do have the option as a subsidiary motion to table something. So for instance, if the next legislative session, it does become an issue with a resolution we're presenting, we can make a motion to table it, and then we will give the public another month. But for the most part, we shouldn't be slowing up our processes, and we should be following our charter.
Okay. And so I will tell you guys a bit of, and you guys know this because I wrote an email to the rest of the council. The reason why council decided to read the agenda was for accessibility. Some of our residents felt like with them just getting the agenda submitted and not being read, it took a lot of people that are elderly and have disabilities when it comes to the question of being part of the communication. The same reason why we moved from, instead of doing 1 minute of public comment, we moved to 3 minutes to make sure people had more time. The reason why we go ahead and read the document, as you guys just heard, as we read the document, we found there were errors in the document, correct? We could have go ahead and voted on it and no big deal, but now we've had a document that we've had its flaws. So that's something to take into account. But heavily, we felt that you could have 14 days and move it fast as you can. But how is that transparent to be able to involve more community members? The ability to have an extra reading allow for community members to say like, hey, if I heard in the work session where I was or not, I have a way to catch up as well to make sure I know what's going on in the city. So we slowed it down. A lot of residents felt like we were moving so fast that we were leaving them behind. It was an assumption, it's like, well, we put in the agenda, therefore you should have known, have an objection, figure it out on your own. And they did not feel they were part of the inclusion of the meetings. This also allows the time for the staff to be able to have enough time to look at the documents, legal to be able to check it, for us to be able to do our due diligence. Sometimes 2 weeks is not enough. That's the reality of life, right? Most of us are part-timers. Every single one of us is part-timer in this desk. However, some of us take over like full-time and a half work when it comes to the city. So it makes it a little bit challenging. So if you guys decide to change it, it's fine. But to me, it's like not reading the document to the community. What's the purpose of passing legislation? Just to like, give a vote and walk away from it without them hearing what you're voting on, but also limiting the ability for, seniors and disabled people to be able to hear. And there are plenty of people that, whether you realize it or not, that in our community do not know how to read. So for the assumption of you thinking that they could read the document is false. It is not the case. And this allowed them to be able to be part of the system without having to say, these are my limitations that I have. And for those reasons, we have moved forward to do it that way. So I want you guys to strongly reconsider the accessibility access and the reason why we do certain things. One thing is, do we have to versus should we? Could we, should we? 14 days is legally what we have to do, but should we get to the point of just doing that? And allow the resolutions are a little bit heavier than just annexation and not. That means like basically, unless I'm trying to change the charter, it's going to be from one reading to a vote. So that is at least my concerns, the concerns of members of my community. And there's plenty of people as I crossed over to multiple languages in the city. Okay, so I'm going to open it up to a second round if you guys want to do a second bite of the apple, and then we'll decide if there's a third need for it as well. Okay, so I started with word 1. I'm going to go word 2. Joseph, Valerie.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess we do want to make sure there's clarity here that a substantive resolution and an ordinance both require, according to our charter, 2 readings. So we cannot actually pass legislation without 2 readings unless we were to have an emergency or be violating our charter. So this discussion is not about whether or not we want to short shrift the discussion of legislation because it has the weight of law. That is important. And I have no desire to short shrift that. But the issue at hand is discussions that are being extended for simple matters, parliamentary matters, such as appointing someone to a commission, and also, appointing a public information officer, things like that. This is business that does not have the weight of law to residents. It does not impact the legislation that we pass, and the reason why our charter was set up in this fashion is because we need to balance the needs of the community, understanding with the needs of getting business done on behalf of that community. Thank you.
So can I get a point of clarity? Is there any documents that have been submitted in the package when it comes to defining simple resolutions from regular resolutions and so on? Because I have not been able to see anything in this package. I'm sure Kamali or Melissa, was anything else submitted? Or nothing, it was just a discussion at this point?
Not to my knowledge. I don't recall that right now.
Okay, so no package, no written information was submitted when it comes to this item. Okay, all right, go ahead, Valerie.
Thank you. I would like to, when we have things on the work session for discussion, it would be very helpful to have a piece of paper in front of us so we know what we're talking about and to, so that we can have this discussion versus just having an abstract discussion about the charter and the way we've conducted meetings. Saying that, I will say that the one thing that did predicate this meeting was the PAMC, the Planning Assistance for Municipal Communities discussion. That technically could be a simple resolution, but it is a contract in which the city is entering into the county with to do planning assistance. And so as such, I think it was worth having 2 readings and having a vote on it, even if it was not controversial. Thank you.
All right. Jenny, Danielle?
I don't think an abstract, with all due respect to council member Woodall, I don't think it's abstract when we are citing the charter. It's in law. I, in general, believe that we should follow the laws as written, and I will continue to push for that. Thank you.
So a point of information, we do not address the other elected officials. If you have a comment, you can make it without addressing them. I think it's part of the decorum and the rules that we establish when it comes not just to the public, but to ourselves. Okay, Danielle, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we add 4 minutes to this discussion, please.
There's some, Danielle, you
4 minutes.
You have to ask the chair for it. You don't talk to the table and it's on it. So there's a motion.
I wasn't talking to anybody, I was just speaking.
Well, there's a motion on the floor by Councilor Carter that she would like to add 4 minutes to the time. Is there a second?
Second, just.
It's been probably moved and second. Any discussion? Objections, abstentions, hearing none. We'll go ahead and add 4 more minutes. So remember, it's 2 minutes for the second round. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I think that to clarify, if I can, what Councilmember Dakota, and I'm talking to you, Chair, not the Councilmember.
I will ask for you guys not to address it. Just said another Councilmember statement, and that's it.
Actually, Robert's rules said that we can address other council members through the chair, which is what I'm doing.
I'm asking you now. I don't want you to address it to me. I'm just asking you not to do it because when it gets contagious, I want to make sure it's respectful. When we're in a good mood, addressing the other council member is fine, but I want to make sure that we keep it steady. Just said I would like to, whatever it is, without naming their names.
Okay. So what another council member spoke of a few minutes ago that I want to get clarity on is the difference between the simple resolution and a legislative. It's a difference between administrative work and legislative work. So something that's administrative, like the appointment of someone, it's not legislative, it doesn't bear the weight of law. Something like that can be done in a one-time meeting and without having to go through the 14 days. As far as what another council member mentioned a few minutes ago about the thing we did just, what started this whole thing, there was a deadline, if I'm not mistaken. Under those properties in Robert's rules, it does say that you can do those in a one session reading. I just want to make this clear so we understand the differences. But let me ask the chair, is the agenda posted for the general community, not only at City Hall, but online for a minimum of 4 days before the council meeting? So the general public who are interested in knowing what's happening with the council business is aware of what's on the agenda. I just want to make clarity on that. That was a question, Chair.
Okay. Thank you for your question. I will tell you a couple of things. Again, I'll repeat myself. Just because an item is posted on Facebook and in a building does not mean that everybody has access to it or is conscious of seeing it. And this is the reason why we constantly go ahead and work on it. It is sent, it is put in our calendar and so on, right? But I'll give you a perfect example. When it comes to this item, all I read was discussion and simple resolution. That's it. Nothing else was attached to it. So I couldn't even tell you what it specifically was going to be addressed except for a simple resolution. And saying that it has limitations on it. If I were to ask somebody off the street, can you please let me know what a simple resolution is and how you're going to forward? I could almost guarantee you most people have no idea what we're talking about. And that's what I'm trying to get at. If we're able to not just put documents along with the package, but also be able to have the conversation, it gives time for people to be able to discuss it and analyze it. All right. The other point at hand is that just because we're meeting the minimum requirement, nothing stops us from being able to go above and beyond to make sure the community is involved. So like tonight, the meeting is on Facebook and it's in person. We get more people on Zoom call for the meetings than anything else. But for this meeting, they don't have that capability. And I could tell you that most people don't even realize they couldn't come on Zoom and be able to do that. But that's the reality of being able to look at the neighbors and knowing you have a working force, that I'm able to come to the meetings. And this is the reason why it's accessible, right? The rules didn't even specify for us to go just on Facebook. Being able to be on Facebook is something that I pushed as a council member back in, I want to say, 5 years ago. So we're back at that point right now what we did 5 years ago instead of moving forward. Okay, so time has run out on this item.
I would like a third round, please, Mayor.
Unfortunately, that's not the motion to put on the floor. I would like to request at least 4 minutes to be put on the floor to finish this discussion. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
4 items will be added to the discussion regarding this item. Go ahead. All right, so the last round is 1 minute per person, and that's what we have agreed on it. So make your statement. Pingo, go ahead and put the sign up, and we'll go ahead and address it that way. So I'm gonna go with Ward 1, because I started with Ward 2, right? With Ward 1, Danielle, you were first, so I'm gonna go Jenny, Danielle, and I'm gonna move my way in on the other end. Go ahead.
I have nothing further to add.
Okay, Danielle?
Okay, I wanted the extra time because I asked the question specifically for the knowledge that it is up there for the community to see in advance. If there is something that they have a question on, do they have the ability to call and get clarity on it with the city? My point is that I'm not trying to limit what the community knows and is involved in. I want the community to know what they have the opportunity, the information they have the opportunity to gain, that it is posted at City Hall, that it is posted online. They can call City Hall for clarity, for information. They can contact their council members and ask direct questions. I just want to make sure that that's clear and on the record when it comes to this. Thank you.
Okay, Joseph, Valerie?
Last summer, I decided to read this book by Ezra Klein. I forget the co-author's name. And the crux of this book is that government continues to get downslogged in process, and avoids trying to do anything. And I feel like this is a prime example of the discussion. So yes, it is great to have lots of public feedback, but if we're preventing things from getting done, I know we had to rush down in order to get this PAMC resolution signed like the next day because it was already well behind schedule. And we also, one of our main goals was to work on our strategic plan, and we still haven't been able to do that because we held up the PAMC resolution. I think we need to get stuff done for the city and not drown in process. Thank you.
Valerie?
Thank you. I think the PAMC process was only brought to us in October or November by Councilmember Jakuta, and I think another council member on this body. And I think that was really important that we did that, but that took time for the engagement process to begin with the contract being coming up in December and then in January. So I think the process has been, okay, I don't want to get bogged down in the process, but I do think having accessible meetings, I know 1,000 people that listen to the meetings after the fact. They might not look at the agenda beforehand, and they might not know what we're talking about until they've listened to the meeting. And sometimes they forget what happened between meetings. And so having a reminder is a good idea on bigger items. I think we can definitely change our process in terms of things that are not so substantive. But I know for human rights, that was important to read into the record as many times as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to make sure to clarify something. There was no deadline that if Mr. Kamali did not have the document signed the next day, we would lose on that opportunity. So that never happened. We did ask you guys to come close because we had business at hand. The other thing is what the staff does, if they see us towards leaning on it, they could schedule appointments to say hey, after the vote, we'll go ahead and follow through. But that's not a simple thing. We're getting into a legal contract that we're directing our city manager to be able to do, and we need to find out whether or not that entity best represents our interests. And that is something that will help us guide the work for the next 5 to 10 years. So to me, it's not as simple as let's vote and go on. You have to look into what exactly it brings and does it requires, what needs to happen. Because if not, we're spending time and effort and energy for the staff in the community and then nothing. So again, I would say accessibility is important for our residents. I think that the illusion that people are coming to City Hall in the bulks is not there. And we need to be conscious that it's important for us to follow through. So I'll tell you guys this, and I will thank you so much, Pink. Moving forward, I need you guys to, if there's an item on the agenda, please make sure you put documents on it, because just talking about them and nothing in front of you, it's just a conversation. And this is more or less my fear. We just have a conversation and we'll vote on the next meeting with nothing in front of us to be able to say that this is what we're guiding. And it could be in the chart, it could be on it, but I need to know word by word what is it that I'm looking at, not just in theory. All right? So moving on to item number 6. What is the Facebook comment? About this item? All right. Thank you. Go ahead.
So Block 4200, 31st Street, Kira, Austin. Question, what is the city's requirement and standard of how many days before the council meetings that the agenda and supporting documents must be posted on the city's website?
If we have a meeting on Tuesday, we usually post it out on Friday. However, as you see for this package, the agenda item was out, but there was no supporting documents with it. And it's going to be the case for several items in this package that there's no supporting documents on it. So that is it. So we usually try to make sure we give the documents to the clerk so that way they're sent out. They're sent out to us and they're sent out to the community. Wednesday by midday, the council is supposed to submit, and that's another accessible thing that we did, supposed to submit the items they want in the agenda in order to make sure we have enough documents to look at it, but pull any item before Friday becomes live. So that's what the requirement looked like internally. Wednesday by 12, they submit them in, and then it gives, then it's sent to us internally, and then by Friday is put out, and council is sent a package of anything that's been submitted. But I could tell you 4 days. 4 different items, and this one had no supporting documents except for an agenda item. So if I'm sitting here, I'm hearing whatever conversation is freshest than what you guys are. And it's not the only, I'm not the only one in the case. But that says, so that is basically the requirement. So we make sure we put it out ahead of time to qualify it, to make sure it's out there. Okay? And we might have to do something where it's easier for me to see it than just hear it, okay? Because I'm a visual learner, not an audio learner. Apologies for that, but that is, I know my limitations on many things, okay? All right, moving on to the next item, discussion. Yeah. Okay.
Follow up, we're good.
Okay, go ahead. What's the other one? But can I ask you something? How long is this minute? Because at this point, the clock has already been expired, and we're talking on great time, which is like non-existent time.
I'm sorry?
So can I ask council to give me 2 minutes on the clock, please?
I make a motion that we add 2 minutes to this agenda item.
Can I second it?
I'll second it.
There's a second. Any discussion? Objections, abstentions? So we're gonna have to find a method to make sure we know what this looks like, because if not, we're already in the gray area outside the time of comments, and once we pass, we pass. Go, ready when you are, Pink. Go ahead.
Okay. 4200 Block, 31st Street, Kira, Austin. Regarding accessibility, the calendar posting for this.
Wait a minute. We can only do one question. This is the same person that asked the question? No. One bite of the apple. Kara, you have to do your whole question together, because if not, it goes into a back and forth where you get one. So if you were in person, you get that one time to talk in the item. And so those for Facebook, okay? So just want to make sure you can send it to us, but let's make sure it's clarified as one per item. So that way we have fairness with whoever's in the room. They cannot go back and forth. They can only do one at a time. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much. Okay, moving on to item number 6. So, Pink, do me a favor, flag me something concerned before times run out, so that way I'm aware there's a comment. Maybe that's the way we'll work it, because one time expires and we don't put enough time, it's a new item, especially when I mentioned it, okay? Okay, I'm waiting for you to reset the clock. Good, okay. Item number 6, discussion annual dues for Prince George's County Municipal Association. The Mayor and Council will have discussion on the annual due for PGCMA. Mr. Kamali, do you remember what the due starts? About $700, right? $200 increase from last year.
Last year, we paid $500. This year, I received the invoice for $731, and we haven't paid yet.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and open the floor in case people have questions. from the council. I just want to make sure the numbers in front. So it's about $200 increase with nothing additional to add. Actually, we're losing benefits in. It's okay. I just want to make sure that's in. So, all right. So I'm going to start with Ward 2. Right? Yes.
Yeah, you started with that.
Okay. Thank you. Joseph, Valerie.
I do have a question, Mayor, for the city manager,
Okay.
if I may
Yeah.
inquire, but I also wanted to state one thing as well. The first, I want to cite our council rules, section 9 on work sessions, a purpose. It states specifically, work sessions of the council will be conducted in order to ensure the orderly and consistent operational guidance and oversight of the affairs of the city by its elected representatives. The conduct of these work sessions is ideally suited for discussion and debate among council colleagues. As far as my question for Mr. Kamali, we have been informed through other mechanisms, namely by hearing it from PGCMA, that our dues have not been paid in accordance with the time frame that was expected. And I was hoping you could provide some additional information into what transpired.
Mr. Kamali.
Yes, I did receive an invoice, I believe 3-4 months ago, but I talked to Mayor and I wanted to make sure that, because I saw in the email back and forth, because I received all the emails from PGCMA, and that person was not the treasurer anymore, I believe. And then recently they elected, and based on our size, I just, talked to Mayor and I said, do we have to pay another $200? And I think there was some issue with their audit, their financial report, as I was told. So if we have to, go ahead and pay it, we can pay it tomorrow. That shouldn't be really a big issue, but I take the blame for it. That's fine.
So,
as a follow-up, when our MML dues were paid, I believe those also increased. Do you know how much those increased? And
I'm sorry.
I believe our MML dues increased as well this year. Do you know how much those went up by and whether there was some more discussions on?
No, I have to look at the invoice, but I know that it was more than last year. But we're talking about two different things. PGCMA, we cannot compare with MML. MML, it's a big organization. Same thing with all due respect. But I think, as I said, I take the blame for them. We can, whatever you guys want to do, that's fine.
So-
we can go through that process.
Mr. Kamali, I'll tell you that it's not a matter of taking the blame. I think that I'm going to expand on your answer.
Yeah.
When you guys submitted the invoice, there was treasurer that left their office. They were no longer an elected official. According to PGCMA rules, in order for you to be an elected member of the organization, especially holding an office, you have to hold an elected office. Unfortunately, the treasurer resigned to their position, no longer being an elected, and that's the person that was submitting the bills to the city. As a city, we are responsible. In this case, Mr. Kamali is responsible for the finances of the city. And in the meeting, I make sure to make the point that we were not comfortable with invoices and accounts of somebody that was no longer an elected official who now had stepped down and they were a resident, having access to the controls of those accounts, and also being responsible for the money that we will send. And that took about 3 months or something. So it's been legitimate reasons for it. The other thing is not just Mr. Kamali that gets the information. Every single one of us has received the information when it came to the finances. So I want to make sure that is clear, and that's the reason why we felt like until PGCMA at least had a legitimate treasurer that was actually an elected official, it was not going to be safe because it could damage our audit on our end when we basically said we gave that money to an organization that had and a person that no longer was an elected official for not 2-3 days, but for several months. As a matter of fact, it was in a meeting for College Park that MML found out. MML did ask them for the person to step down in order to make sure that they abide by their own rules. So the city's job, and in this case, Mr. Kamali's, is to make sure that they protect the money for the city. And if that person is no longer an elected official, they don't have official capacity to submit a bill to the city of Mount Rainier. A new treasurer has just been elected, but definitely that was part of the concerns of the reason why it got pushed back to be able to do anything at that point. The other thing that we had addressed was like the audits for PGCMA had not been done as well. So there is an issue that some of the municipalities do have in regard of like being able to pay if there are no security rails fully to be able to know that our money is safe and not allegedly taken by people in that position. So that is where we are at, and that is no secret from any of you guys. But go ahead, Valerie.
Thank you, and I look forward to the rest of this discussion.
Okay. Jenny, Danielle?
So forgive me, but I can't find in the charter or in our ordinances where it says that the mayor has the authority to make a decision regarding a budget item separate from the council. My read of our city charter, section 402, the enumeration of specific powers, A, is the mayor and council shall have the following express ordinance making powers, including subsection 4, appropriations and finances. This question of whether PGCMA dues should be paid was never brought before the council, and I fail to see where in the charter or the ordinances that decision can be made by the mayor without input from the council.
Okay, thank you for your statement. Danielle?
Okay, so I am a member of the PGCMA and have been an active member on a monthly basis since October of 2023. I was a part of this entire process as a watcher and as a member of the bylaws committee who actually wrote these rules, the new rules, and made the adjustments. I also was very present at the meeting where it was discussed that we were going to need a new treasurer because the current treasurer at the time was not seeking re-election. An election was set up, it was done, and it came in with the results definitely a few days after she was out of office, but there was a small gap of a couple of days, but it was between the election and when the results were read. You said, Mr. Kamali, that the PGCMA and the MML are separate. I want to make sure that this is clear. The PGCMA is actually under the umbrella of the MML, and so they are a division of the MML. Everything the PGCMA does, including the finances now after a serious issue that happened last year, is now falling under the guise of the MML. Nothing is able to be done at PGCMA without first going through the MML, including the new treasurer and who is allowed to be treasurer. We actually made that change in the bylaw as well, because we didn't want to just let anybody be a treasurer, because what happened, we needed somebody who was going to be held accountable not only individually, but that there was going to be some kind of like a bond or something on them because of, and I know you are aware of what happened. The change in the amounts, I can't speak to what the bill in October was. That was before the new due structure was set up. The due structure, of course, is for the new fiscal year, and they did it on a basis that I don't have the formula in front of me, but it made logical sense. It did make it, where Mount Rainier is going to pay a little bit more. I think it's per capita is part of it, and we are the most densely populated city in the state. But it does play fair across the board, and sometimes you have to take the short end of the stick on that. As far as our dues are concerned, thank you very much for being willing to pay it tomorrow if we vote on it tonight to do that, because my appointment to 3 committees are in suspension until we get this paid. So, Mr. Kamali, I appreciate if the council directs you, I appreciate your willingness to pay that.
So, thank you, Mr. Kamali. I want to make sure to clarify a couple of things that were said. The former treasurer did not seek re-election. She decided to resign for her position. That's what she did. And that is documented. There was a press release on behalf of the city district high. So publicly, you want to look for it, it's there. The budget that you're referring also to clarified, right, was for this year's fiscal year, not for the future fiscal year. So this came out on it. They delayed on it. However, it was for on it. Several of us.
Excuse me, point of clarity, point of order. Are you responding to me and what I said? Well, it sounds like you are.
I am not.
And if you are, I'm going to make a point of order based on personal privilege. Excuse me. I've made a point of order.
Okay. May I ask you a question? Is it point of privilege or point of order?
It is a personal privilege.
Point of honor. So you did 3 different motions. Which one are you going to stick with?
It's a point of order, personal privilege, Rule 5C, 8C of the council rules and procedures.
Thank you so much. I'm declining
I have the
that
right
order.
to call a personal privilege because
And
my
I
integrity,
decline
character, and my motives are being assailed, questioned, or impugned.
Again, your name was not mentioned in anything. I said as a point of information clarification, I want to make sure that this is stated. Thank you, Pink. Again, your name was not mentioned. I said it as a point of clarity. I'm happy to provide the press release from District High that said when the person resigned for their position, and it was a matter of 3 days. The other point, I am part of the executive committee for MML. The PGCMA bylaws have not been approved by the board, so the old rules stand, and that was by ask of PGCMA president. So at this point, PGCMA rules do not stand. The other thing is like no board position, no positions to committees are taken away from MML if you do not pay PGCMA. Lastly, cities like Frederick and Baltimore are not paying nearly the $700 we are paying. So you tell me how fair is that? They are part of a different chapter, and they have a lot more people than we do. Some of our bigger cities are paying $250. A lot of the other cities are paying $0 to be able to be part of the chapter. Lastly, but not least, from last year to this year, the budget is $24,000. Last year, we had a lobbyist through PGCMA. This year, we have no lobbyists, and yet we have asked what comes along with the additional amount, and nothing has been given to us. Again, I did not tell the city manager we're withdrawing for PGCMA. All I did was, as a liaison to the committee, provide the information to our city manager. And when the city manager also realized, because he's very smart, that that person was no longer elected official, he didn't feel comfortable with it. He was to give some time. But Mr. Kamali, I was directly had at any point, have I directed you to withdraw from PGCMA?
No.
There's been a no. So the only thing I've done is go to those meetings and find ways for us to do it. It is no big, did allegedly 2 treasurers ago, money was stolen from that organization. They're working to get to where it needs to be. But we have every right to be concerned on where our money went that was, taken priorly, and where this money is being utilized. And at this point, nothing but events has gone through. And saying that, I know there's like few under a minute for the clock. And I want to make sure something is clear.
I'd like to make a motion that we add 5 minutes to the clock, please.
You have not been, I have not called upon you, Danielle. You need to at least follow through it.
I made a motion.
Okay.
I will
Motion's on
second
the
it.
floor. Fine.
I will second it. Sorry, Jared, I'm not supposed to talk so close.
Yeah, I'm hearing sound back from you, Joseph. It's okay. There's a motion by Paulie in second to be able to add 5 minutes to the clock once the time expires. As a point of information, I will say that having meetings where people are being cut off and disturbed, and it's not positive for any of us. This item was put in the agenda to have a discussion with allegations that the city manager has been told to, remove ourselves from PGCMA and so on, and that wasn't the case. As the city manager, he also has the ability to be cautious with the money we pay, whether it's MML, whether it's PGCMA, whatever organization it is. And that's what we're trying to get, information. I attend the meetings because I am the representative to try to get us where we need to be able to provide information. I don't have to send you guys any of the documents because you guys get the agendas, you guys get the financials, you guys get all of that. Whether you're attending the meeting or not, it's every single one of us is a member, not just one or two people. You guys could attend if you choose to. The fact that you do or not is entirely up to you. What I do know is I'm assigned to attend those meetings to make sure I'm able to do my best when it comes to the city. And that's what done. I provide information to Mr. Kamali. Mr. Kamali has a concern that no longer is on it. We're waiting in time for PGCMA to find a new financial person. And that was it. You know, do I feel comfortable still? I will tell you this. I don't still feel comfortable putting money into an organization. But that's how I feel about it. You know, so I want to make sure that as we make remarks of what the mayor's done or has not done, we could be very clear what it is and not try to smear my name either. Okay, so there is 4 minutes that were added to the clock, and that gives us a second bite of the apple, so it's 2 minutes time for everybody. So we'll go through 2 minutes across the table, okay? There might be one. But go ahead, what side did I start with? You started with you guys? Okay, so Jenny, Danielle, and I'm gonna move across the board too.
Thank you for the clarifications, Mayor and Mr. Kamali. I think my concern is that the budget that had been approved back in April for this fiscal year assumed membership for MML and PGCMA. My understanding is that we have been PGCMA members. In the past, there was no discussion at the budget work session or at the vote to approve the budget that we would not be PGCMA members. And so I'm concerned that a decision was made to change our membership status with PGCMA without going to council. And I expect that if something has been approved in the budget, that it will go to the council for discussion and a vote if there is a request to change the budget. Thank you.
Danielle?
I have a lot to say, but I'm going to be polite. Again, I go to the meetings. I'm there for the discussions. I watch the votes. I'm on the bylaw committee. I'm on other committees, but apparently my knowledge doesn't jive with other knowledge, but I can only speak to my truth and what I've experienced and what I know to be true. And so with that, I thank you.
Joseph Valerie?
Thank you. I do think it's important for us to follow what is in the charter under section 402, and this type of action should come to a vote. We shouldn't follow the lead of Russell vote.
Valerie?
Thank you. I do think it's within the purview of the city manager to enact the budget as we have voted. I don't know that $700 rises to the level of city council, but I do appreciate this conversation, but I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that we also have to remember that Mr. Kamali runs the day-to-day. We do give him a budget. Doesn't mean he's going to spend every single item in the agenda, but he also has the ability to say like, hey, wait, there's a concern I want to weigh, or this is not where we're going to go. The budget line items are there, but it is him who also is responsible for that. I'm happy to provide you guys the information to showcase when that elected official resigned from their seat. Like I said, it's public knowledge. It is a press release that was sent out on behalf of their city. So that way it is not on it. The other thing is like part of sitting in the executive committee, I get to see and hear various things and know and vote on certain levels. Therefore, the information I'm giving you is not secret to any other board members, right? And there is definitely some hesitation on it. And again, MML has just approved, thank you, I'll wrap it up with this. MML has just approved, how to call it, a template when it comes to the bylaws, which means that charter bylaws are also going to be changed or adjusted based on the new recommendations. But it should never be an issue where we as a city are concerned that the finances are not where they need to be, and at the end of the day, it could potentially damage our audit and our reputation. Okay, and in saying that, we'll go ahead and move to the next item. Selection and scholarship and selecting members of the scholarship committee. I'm sorry, my computer shut down, and so I would like to thank our scholarship committee members, Dave Epley, Genesis Romero, Jasmine White, and Joe Mary Tablan, who has served in the scholarship committee currently for the city of Mount Rainier. They have done outstanding job. Some of them going back and being reappointed through the different councils for several years. They managed to interview people, work with the community, and help allocate quite a bit of funds. And the way it basically works, like I am their liaison, however, like Melissa runs point. And the council decides on deadlines and times when it comes to when they're able to see them. At the end, we do vote to approve the people that the scholarship committee recommend. So in saying that, big thank you to Dave, Genesis, Jasmine, and Joe Mary for the duties that they have served to the city of Mount Rainier. It is customary the way I wrote this legislation. It gives a chance to each of the members of council and myself to be able to appoint one person from their district, either one or two, and I represent both, in order to sit as board members for the scholarship committee. And in saying that, this just opens the conversation for you guys to go on your task, pick up who your representatives for your ward will be. On the next work session, we will go ahead and name them, have a resolution, and go ahead and appoint them. Just like any other committees for the city of Mount Rainier, they do have to submit it to the portal. Their resume, their application, that includes emergency contacts and fun stuff like that. And Melissa will go ahead and grab them, and we'll go ahead and work on the appointment. So if anybody of the names that I read, if any of you guys are interested, I believe most of them are still available in case you want to reach out to them to reappoint them. And if not, it's okay as well. But this is gonna be not gonna take any time. It's just more of informational for you guys know what your steps are to be able to take as council. And for the next session, please make sure you guys bring the names of your committee members. And actually, if you guys could ask them to come, it would be ideal. And then we'll put them in a resolution and vote on the next meeting, so that way we could establish our scholarship committee and they will be ready to go. Right? Any questions so far? I'm gonna go ahead and go to a different ward. So what was the last word that I called? Ward 1. So we're gonna go to Ward 2. Valerie.
Thank you. And just so we're clear, these are the people who have served in the past, and we are able to appoint or to recommend people, talk to people about serving on this committee. Is it possible for us to get further clarity on this list, who's in which ward in the future?
Yes. Yeah. So Dave and Hennessy were in Ward 1. Jasmine and Joe Mary were in Ward 2. We had one person withdraw because they moved away from the city. So therefore, they're not part of the list, but that's more or less how it broke down.
Thank you.
Okay. Joseph?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a few questions. I was trying to do some research on our website on this, and it was unable to find some information. There seems to be evidence there was a resolution prior to Resolution 4, 2019 that initially established a scholarship committee, because while I do appreciate that we each get to pick a person, that doesn't seem to be in the one resolution I could find. I did see that was the history, though, which is great. So if there's another resolution available, I would like to have access to it. I would like to also understand the process better, because I was looking through trying to find minutes of the committee having met to make the determinations on who to recommend and what the process was after the interviews. And at this point, I've not been able to find anything. So I would also like to better understand that, if that information can be provided. Thank you.
And that might be something the clerk, Mr. Kamali, can you ask Melissa to be able to provide that resolution? I'll tell you this, there's no other resolution because I created the scholarship. So therefore, they only exist the one I created. Prior to that, Rainier did not have a scholarship. And that's been going on for several years. And basically on the resolution itself, and Melissa could also send to your clerk, because I do very much the hands-off approach. The committee meets, they decide on the questions. There, Melissa works with candidates. So the committee doesn't have direct communication with the youth because we want to make sure they're protected. So the city will communicate with them and assign them various time slots for them to be able to be interviewed. Once they go through the interview process, the committee talks about themselves and base it on, the questions and feedback and different things like that, and a whole rubric of information that they have. They make that decision. My role for the committee is not to decide who gets elected, the questions, nothing else, and that's the reason why it was decided this one. So more or less, instead of you being part of that committee, you're having one person that represents you in that committee. And Mr. Kamali, can you ask Melissa to go ahead and send a resolution for it? That will help. But more or less, it's been about the same people that have served all this time. And they are, if you guys could do a search in the minutes, it shows when they have come to council to make sure we acknowledge who they are as well, and we have gone through the process. Go ahead, Mr. Kamali, I see your mic open.
No, I just want to make sure that I think Melissa did look today, and the resolution originally was before our time, before 2019, 18, and I was not the city manager. Melissa was not here. So definitely I'm going to ask her to spend some time and see if we can find it. But I think, so far we have not been able to do it. And
I'll look into my records to see if I have it. If not, I'll reach out to any other council member prior to me to see if they have it as well. Okay, the other thing is, you asked us to remember that we are, and I say this repeatedly, we're very grateful to Melissa and Mr. Kamali because they have been on point when it comes to the minutes. They had to reduce several years back of the minutes, at least what was legally for us to do, but it was several years back, and they might not have some of the information prior to that. There was a lot of work that I had to do. So I'll look through my records. I'm pretty sure I have it, and I'll provide it to you. If not, I'll reach out to my colleagues to see if they have it as well from past councils.
May I make a point of clarification? I just want to clarify. I'm seeking the minutes from the scholarship committee meeting to make the decisions on recommendations, not the minutes from our meetings. I know where those are.
So do you need the resolution or no?
I have the resolution 04-2019, but as I said, from what you said, there may have been a resolution prior to that because the requirement that everyone provide a recommended person is not in this resolution. So I assume there's another one. The way it's written implies there's another one, but I don't know for sure. So if there's no other one, I do. The 04-2019 is available on our website.
Okay, so I'll look up to see what you guys have and what the original was that is signed and passed. But yeah, that's the practice that we've done in order to be direct representation, in order not to have us sitting in the room with other people. All right. You win. Jenny, Danielle. Oh, no, sorry. Danielle, Jenny. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, Mayor, I remember when you brought this scholarship committee to the council at the time, it was a great idea. I mean, you really stood up for the residents in the community who wanted to go to college, maybe needed a little extra help, and that was appreciated then, and it is still appreciated now. I do have a question. I guess it's more procedural or administrative from Mr. Kamali. What do we do if our appointee does not have a resume? Because I have spoken to a few people in the community who would like to volunteer, but they don't have a resume because they've never had anything beyond a community college education. They may work for themselves. They don't have a resume. Is there a workaround, or can we relax that requirement for residents who don't have a formal resume?
I'll let Mayor answer that question because I think it should be good to have somebody's, resume at least, know what that person is, where that person is coming from. And to be on the panel, I think it requires, some experience at least. I'm not trying to judge people.
No, I understand. I'm just saying that there are people out there who,
Yeah, you're saying that
they may not have a formal resume, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't qualify for
What
it.
I'm trying to say, can you help them to put something together and send it to us?
So
I'll let Mayor.
Wouldn't it be,
As a point of
I understand.
clarification.
I'm sorry, I'm still talking, Mr. Kamali.
it's not a conversation, so you need to ask him one question.
It's a
and
work
stop.
session, it is a conversation.
It's not, you have to be
Miss-
constrained to time. Go on.
Mr. Kamali, my argument, I guess, is not, wouldn't a better, like a questionnaire that fits into the requirements of the position be better for those who don't have a formal resume?
So let me do this. Let me look into it and get back to you.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I do appreciate if Mayor wants to say anything about that, because she's the liaison with that committee. And Melissa has been working with them, so we never had that experience that somebody didn't have a resume, to be honest with you. But let me look into it.
I appreciate it, Mr. Kamali, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Kamali. And as a point of information for everybody, we're not asking for a 20-page resume. Our resume could be something like where they reside, do they have any work experience, right? Who are their references, who are their contacts? It could be a simple one page. We're not looking for an executive restaurant that has 20 pages. We're looking for something simple, but what we realized heavily when it came to part of our audits, right? That we have people in committees that we didn't have not even where they live, who was their emergency contact, who were they, and they were serving on our committees. So in order to make sure we qualify, in order to make sure that we provide the information for, in case we get, those items get pulled from, for an audit, we could say these are the people that are in this committee and they're making these decisions and we have accountability for who they were. So that's more or less the other reason we also ask heavily is hey, if you move out, please make sure to let us know as soon as you can in order to make sure on it. But this also allows us to make sure we more or less know what ward they represent. And the reason why I know is because I know who elected them, right? But also what ward they represent, and if we need to make an additional push to make sure a certain ward push through to be able to get more volunteers in the side, we go ahead and do it. But the resume is a simple name, last name, phone number, address. We're not looking for a 20-page resume, a simple one-page resume. If they need help, I know the library office assistants can help, but it has never been a deterrent for people to be able to apply. They just submit something simple and it works through it. Go ahead, Jenny.
I'm happy to help anyone with a resume. I feel like given the amount of money that the scholarship committee hands out, I would like to see more transparency in the decisions that are being made. Obviously with some sensitivity, because they're discussing qualifications of young people. And so it doesn't necessarily have to look like transparency for other committees, but I think we could do a better job with transparency of how this somewhat substantial amount of money is being given out. Thank you.
Okay. As a point of information and clarity, even if the committees, that goes for any of the committees making a decision, mind you, the scholarship committee is actually one of the ones that have least amount of money, as a matter of fact. They are submitted to the city manager. The manager makes sure that everything is done to part. For many of you guys, it's the first time you're able to deal with the scholarship committee. The students do apply, submit an application and information. You guys do receive the package information of the people that apply, although we do not interfere whatsoever in order to make sure that we don't have no hands on it. But just like any committee, the city manager is the one that gives the approval, and then it clears it, and then it comes to us. No student that does not have met the requirements or the qualifications goes through it, and that is the duty of the city manager and the city clerk who check those applications. And that's the reason why I recommend to many of my former colleagues, our job to be part of the committees to support, advocate, and be there for whatever they need us. Our job, at least in my case, is not to select the students. I am not even I'm not in control of any of the questions that are asked, or who submitted for interviews or anything. So that's something that the staff takes care of, so that way it is clear, transparent, and there's equality between that and no interference from it. Okay, so I will work on finding the resolution that states on it, if, that states, how do you call it, how they get appointed. All right, and that's more or less where I'm at with that. All right, and that, thank you, Melissa, and once again to our scholarship committee for the time and efforts they have put in making sure that that the kids do receive the scholarships, and they're $1,000, 7 of them, $1,000 for each of them, and so it is enough to be able to help them with maybe transportation and books, obviously not to pay a whole entire tuition. And I was to ask for 2 more minutes to be added to the clock as a motion, because we do have a resident that will have a question. So can motion on the floor for 2 more minutes to be added?
I make a motion to add 2 minutes to the agenda.
I need a second. I make the motion, so I need a second.
Second.
Is it probably moved and second? Any discussion? Objections, abstentions, here none. Go ahead. Well, I already know you by name, but Derek, go ahead.
Yeah,
Name,
my
last
name
name.
is Derek Reynolds. I live on the 4000 block of 32nd Street. And I have a comment really and a question. I agree with what you were saying, Mayor, about having information about residents, knowing who they are, where they live, and all that kind of stuff. My question, since I'm just, as you know, went through the process, was I'm curious, based on what the city manager said and what you guys were kind of all discussing, the resume, to me, being somebody who recruits people on a regular basis, is to show that you have experience relevant to the committee. So my assumption would be everyone applying to be on the ethics committee has a background in compliance, conflict, and things like that. People going on the scholarship committee have a background in higher education. If that's not the case, I personally, as a resident, find that to be a very strange requirement to submit a formal resume. I submitted my professional CV for this job, and I didn't know that was what was required because it wasn't clear. But I think what you're saying, Mayor, is something slightly different from a resume. I think it's more information about each of us. And that's just my question on why we're submitting resumes for city council or for city committees. Thanks.
Thank you. So it's a combination of both. It's also, as we appoint people, we want to know who they are, but also those packages are submitted to our committee chairs and committee members. So it's not just us who looks into it, right? Because the committee members don't know who you are, or they might know who you are, but they don't know, do you meet the qualifications? So if they have any questions on it, right? So your resume could say your job is X, Y, C, D, and G. So if they feel like it's a conflict of interest, like let's say to enter the scholarship committee, and you work for, the biggest loan officer when it comes to scholarship committee, and you might be trying to recruit kids that need money for scholarship to be in that seat, you might be declined from being able to qualify for that position. So your resumes are reviewed by the chair, or in this case, how do you call it, previous committee members. Sometimes we ask them, like, can you guys sit and help us out with this? But for most of the committees, you already have, like in your case, you already have establishment. The chair went ahead and looked at your information, resume, stuff like that. If they have any concern, the committee asks, for you to be able to come in and answer. Or in the case of other committees, they join that committee and then they ask them based on what it is. So that's more or less the reason why. But ideally, we try to put it close to what it is. You don't have to have a PhD and have a whole garden to be part of the Green Committee, right? Depending on it. But you have to have the will and the time to be able to do the duties that they're required to do. So yeah, so it is important for those members to be able to know who you are, aside from I saw you in a band. And the reality is, like, most of us know each other just by, I know you, but I didn't know everything else that was in your resume. Very impressive, right? But that's the reason why. Yeah. Sorry. I know, Pink. I'm all like, I'll work on it. Like, I'm going to have like a neck adjustment after this. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Moving on to item number 8, discussion on state legislative priorities. The Mayor and Council will have discussion on state priorities for the state legislation session. Okay. We are in week 5, mid of week 5 already for the legislative, for the state legislation. Just to bring a couple of information in less than 14 days, we will have had crossover, and once a bill does not cross over, it dies in committee. All right, and the other point to address is like the priorities, including anything that you guys want to try when it comes to the city and directing the staff were discussed back in June. Because as we have learned when we discussed them in September was that there's a lot of people are doing a lot of work during the summer. It gives a chance for our staff, both legislative but also our city staff, to know what we are aiming at in order for them to either find resources, work on grants, communicate to people what's important to us, but also get a sense of what's out there. Do we have a sense of what bills are out there fully? Not always. Sometimes they tell us we're bringing it up, but it's not always the case where we know fully what a legislative on the state level might be. So we do our best to work within our priorities. Valerie, you have the list of priorities because I know you typed them previously to that. Do you have them by any chances? Can you go ahead? Thank you so much. So the priorities that we selected back in June were create a strategic vision, formation, and plan. Number 2, implement a completed Vision Zero action plan. And 3, economic development. Those are the city priorities that we selected, and all of you guys should have them from the June meeting, but Councilmember would also send an email with the video link when it came to the priorities. I also want to make sure to reference the fact that, like I stated in the meeting, I stayed tonight, and we have stayed through the years, we don't know what's coming, and sometimes bills have very good intention. However, they may contradict the values of the city. The city has a green plan. The city has, when it comes to immigration, where we stand. The city, anything that preempts our authority and damages in a negative way, we usually have a word to say when it comes to it, including one of the latest bills that is tackling zoning. There are reasons why the city of Rainier heavily through the years has spoken very loudly and clear when it comes to zoning maps, including this council submitting letters and information on what we wanted to see. And I'm happy to always say that about 85 to 90% of the things that the city submit has been put into the zoning on it. But if a bill in the state goes ahead and take jurisdiction from us as a city, that's when we go ahead and speak up and we say, hey, this might be a good intention bill, but is removing the autonomy of the city when it comes to the zoning that we can do, and also our county. And we went ahead and make statements towards it. So that's an example of how it's part of the priorities, because in this case, it was economic on it. And there's some of them that are more on the climate change on it, where we try to stay within. I will tell you this, and I'll open up the floor. Myself, because it's already mid of week 5 with less than 2 weeks to go before crossover, I think that if this meeting wants to, we could have a discussion, but at this point we are beyond late if the will of this body is to change course on legislative priorities. So just take that into account. It is week 5 for the state legislation, and they are wrapping up very, very quickly. Okay, and in saying that, I'm going to move it across to council to have for you guys to have your say. It is almost 9 p.m. and we do have 2.5 more items. All right. Okay. So which side did I went last?
No, you went to them last.
Okay. Well, you raised your hand, so I will have assumed you went to on and see. That's what happens. Okay. All right. So did I went to you first or who did?
I went to them first.
No, but
This time you did yours.
but last one. That's what I'm asking. No.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Between your ward, which one was it?
I don't remember.
All right. So Danielle, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. This was my 3rd legislative session on our council, and the discussion you're referring to and that Valerie has a copy of, and I didn't have it in my packet, so I'm sorry. But that's okay. It doesn't matter, because the point is that the 3 years that I've been working on that, I was under the assumption, and it looked like at the end, the collective was on local focus. Like I said, focusing on rebranding the city and saving Queenstown apartments from the flood zone thing and things of that nature. And that was like local priorities. I was never under the impression that that was statewide legislative priorities. And I think that is the disconnect here, because back in June, that was also my assumption. That doesn't mean that that wasn't the intention. I think that was just the generalized assumption. What are our priorities? Because we're local elected officials, and lobbying at the legislative level, at the state level, is just something that we're afforded the privilege to do in our position. So I just wanted to advocate on that behalf, that I think that there was just a disconnect. And so that's why the misunderstanding occurred. And I'd like to maybe in the future, and you're right, there's no way we can see into the future unless we know things that we're asking to be sponsored or whatever on the legislative level. But as far as topics that we're interested in, former Councilmember Stoltzfus is here. So of course, when he was on council, we focused a lot on traffic and street safety. So of course, we would take that into account for our future legislative issues. I think maybe a discussion in June, or even bring it in September, October. What are our priorities for the legislative session? I think separating the two would be appropriate moving forward. Thank you.
Okay. Jenny?
Yeah, I agree. The June meeting in no way discussed any dealings with legislation other than at our city level. So there was nothing in that June session that discussed priorities for lobbying or that we would want to present to the state legislature in Annapolis. The one item in the June session that is, of course, relevant in the General Assembly's work is the support for Potts Hall. And I have been very pleased that our lobbyists have been working to secure the funding in the governor's budget, and I hope that it remains in the budget, though I'm dubious. But I think the issue is that the lobbyists have been working on multiple issues that were never discussed as a council. And simple resolution, to bring us back to the charter, our laws, Section 703A1A, simple resolutions are used, for example, to make appointments to city committees or to set forth positions of support or opposition of the city government on a particular subject. And I think it would probably behoove the council to have a special legislative meeting at the beginning of the General Assembly to discuss our legislative priorities for the General Assembly, and not our legislative priorities for the city, which were discussed in June. Thank you.
Okay. Joseph Valerie?
Thank you, Mayor. No, I certainly have had experience submitting as a volunteer for my climate work prior to this, testimony to the Maryland General Assembly, and I know how quickly this comes. There's not much. It's a fire hose of legislation, and trying to get through it all is unfathomable. However, when it comes down to it, Council Rule 11L specifically states in correspondence expressing opinions. Correspondence on city letterhead or from city staff or city officials regarding an opinion on a topic shall explicitly indicate that opinion does not represent the opinion of the city council. The mayor and the council members shall not affirm to represent the voices of their constituents on issues outside of the city's jurisdiction, e.g. county, state, or federal issues, except in the case of approval by the majority of the council. I am totally in favor of the three pieces of legislation that were brought up by Greenwheel. I would have totally voted for a letter to be submitted to the General Assembly on all three of those issues. But the problem is that there was never any discussion at a session where we could vote on these issues. We are a body that is governed by voting, and there was never any discussion of supporting these three bills in the General Assembly. And our council rules specifically state we're not supposed to unless we vote on it. Thank you.
Valerie?
Thank you, and I would agree that we should be discussing legislation as a body. I think, however, though, that we did in June, I think the mayor did spell out kind of what the priorities were for. I think we have lobbyists who are working on these general topics as they go through the session, which moves very, very fast. And I think everybody on this council would generally support what they are working on. They do provide summaries every week about what they are working on. They come to council. If council members have questions about that, we can discuss that with them. If something comes up that we don't agree that they're working on, we can bring them in front of council and have them talk about that for us. I don't think there's been any contentious issue that they've brought or that they've worked on. But I do agree if we want to go in June, I think it makes sense because we have the Maryland Municipal League that happens in June. And so having our priorities kind of listed is helpful, especially when we go to the directors meeting and we talk about what we want funded in their general budgets, but also what we might lobby for in the future. So they know what's coming down the pike. I think that's important. And I think that having that discussion in June makes sense. I think if we want to bring it back up in September or even November when we know what's coming from the legislators in Annapolis, I think that makes sense. And then we can have a discussion or a vote if we have to. But I don't think changing the legislative priorities at this point in this session makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would tell you that I want to clarify a couple of things. One, when we mentioned a former colleague of mine, it wasn't because it was his priority, it was because the city voted for Safe Streets for All to be a priority and something the city was going to take on and something the city was going to get funding for. It wasn't as Lena, it wasn't an XYCD member of council. And those rules have been directed to it. When it comes to immigration, the city as a body has adopted the rules that we're a sanctuary, welcome city, and we send that for our residents. That is a city rule that was established, actually, that one even before my time. So unless you guys are willing to, you guys want to overrule those rules, it's completely different. We do have a climate change document that we abide for, and if we find that any of the legislation is on that potentially could help make sure that plan moves forward in order for us to do it, we go ahead and testify on behalf of it, okay? So I want to make sure a couple of things are clear. This is not me just deciding what to testify, because there's 3,000 bills that have come in, and there's a couple of them that are rolling in still. So the reason why the strategic plan ties to everything else is because we have at least maybe 5 different studies, Mr. Kamali, between Safe Streets for All, the climate change, and so on and so on. And the strategic plan is supposed to tie it all up. I just sometimes wish you guys will have a little more patience. You guys are ready to decide on what the lead for the city is for the next 5 to 10 years, even beyond some of the time frame that we might be around, in order for us to be able to do the things that we need to do. You guys are saying, like, let's bring it up when legislation starts. It starts in January by the time.
Point of order.
Excuse me.
Point of order. I'm sorry, Mayor.
It is my time.
I'm calling out decorum.
What is your point of order?
You're violating the rules of decorum, Mayor. Please stop impugning the council by saying we're impatient. You were saying you guys repeatedly, and I don't appreciate it. Please stop.
I struck down your statement. Thank you so much.
I appeal the order of the chair.
Okay, we could be here the whole night, you guys. It's already 9:10. Okay, thank you for appealing the order. And what rule is it that the chair has violated?
I'm appealing your decision that you were not violating the decorum.
So she said that I violated the rules of decorum. When I've asked for you guys to be patient, that was kindness for me to ask. That's it. I was not telling you guys were impatient. All I said is, like, I'm asking you guys to be patient as we're deciding 5 years. You guys went ahead and appeal it, go ahead, but I'll go ahead and make my same statement. And we could be here the whole night. So there's an appeal on it. Can I have a second?
I second.
Is it probably moved in second? Can we have a discussion? Go ahead. Go ahead.
So the council member was impugned because you keep on, the mayor keeps on making statements about what we think without, we're supposed to speak for ourselves as council members. The mayor is not there to speak on our behalf and say whether we are being patient or impatient. We are trying to be patient because we want to follow our processes.
I'd like to make a motion to add 5 minutes to the clock where time's up.
I'm gonna tell you guys something. You guys wanna follow rules, you have to wait for the chair to be able to acknowledge you speaking. You could easily raise your hand and I will call upon you, but the rule does not state that you yell something and I'm supposed to quiet down. You guys will acknowledge for you to be able to speak. And you guys keep doing that. You guys need to stop. All right, thank you, Pink, for acknowledging the time has run out. There's a motion on the floor at this point to be able to add 5 minutes on the clock. Is there a second?
I second it.
It's been probably moved and second. Any discussion? Objections, abstentions, here none. Pink, we're adding 5 more minutes, okay? Thank you. Go ahead. Danielle?
I think Joseph was still speaking.
Thank you, Councilmember Carter. I'm complete.
And again, you have to remember when it comes to the chair, I direct who's gonna speak. You cannot pass the ball to somebody else. This does not work that way. You guys wanna stick with the rules, please stick with the rules. Danielle, you have something to say, or you just forfeited your time attempting to give your time to another council member?
No, I made the motion to add time to the clock, Mayor. I haven't been given time yet.
The reason why I'm asking is because you just directed your time to Joseph.
Oh, I thought you were responding to my motion for time. Okay, yes, I do have, I do have something to say. I agree with both council member, the council members on either end of the table. And I also take offense to it, and it falls under personal privilege, which is 5C, 8C of the council rules and regulations, that the right of a member to address the council on a question of personal privilege shall be limited to cases in which his or her integrity, character, or motives are assailed, questioned, or impugned.
There's a motion on the floor, Danielle. You cannot have 2 motions on the floor. So right now we're discussing.
I'm not motioning anything.
Right now we are.
You said discussion. Correct.
Of breaking the rule of.
Correct, and I am quoting the rule that I feel you broke.
You went ahead and did a motion.
I did not make a motion. There is no motion. These words, there's no word motion here.
Go ahead, your personal privilege. I need to make sure you testify without nothing else on it.
I am quoting, again, I will quote the rule and regulation in the council rules and procedures, 5C, 8C, the right of a member to address the council. A question of personal privilege shall be limited to cases in which his or her integrity, character, or motives are assailed, questioned, or impugned. You did, Mayor, say you guys. You were inferring the 4 of us, or the 3 of us, or 2 of us, or even 1 of us. You still implied the intentions of members of this body, and that does violate personal privilege. So I do agree with the council member to my right, and I agree with the appeal on the council member to my far left. Thank you.
Jenny, go ahead.
Mayor, you chastised me earlier.
Please do not address me. Violation of the rules.
Oh my
Go
goodness. The mayor pointed out, corrected me previously that I should not mention another council member directly when I
Or mayor
spoke.
as well.
I'm sorry, can I speak, please, Mayor?
You're in violation of your own rules, Jenny, so go ahead.
Oh, okay. Nothing further.
Okay, Valerie?
I have nothing to add to this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am beyond, as an I statement, beyond tired of you guys derailing the meetings. And you guys could make another motion, fine. I'll ask for you guys to be patient as we move through the process. That's all I ask. I didn't say you guys are being impatient. All I ask is please be patient. That's a simple ask. I don't know, I feel that if I even breathe wrong, it's an attack towards you guys. Nothing else. All I ask is to be patient. But to me, it keeps feeling that disturbing the meeting over something so simple, it is the goal of this. And unfortunately, this is the worst that I've been dealing with the last 4 meetings. It's never been this bad, even when it was even more complicated in other essence. But over a simple remark of like asking you guys to please be patient, it is, I feel that sometimes the ability or can and should definitely needs to be something that I feel needs to be rethink. All right, there's been a motion and a second and a discussion. All those in favor? Marked by aye.
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 Okay, I hear two ayes.
Sorry, what is the motion?
There is a motion on the floor, Jenny. I'm asking for a vote.
I'm sorry, what is the motion? I'm asking for clarification. What is the motion?
Councilmember Joseph Jacuda, since it was your motion, I'll leave you the floor to be able to state what the motion is.
I appealed the order of the chair.
Thank you so much, and it was properly moved and second. There was already a vote, and we
I vote
already
aye.
asked if there's, Jenny, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Pink. So there is a motion on the floor right now, however, we have run out of time. You cannot have two motions on the floor at the same time. That is the rule. So seeing time's run out and there's a motion on the floor. Let me figure out what we can potentially do. You cannot have double motions, that's a problem. Okay, hold on. I don't need you to tell me in my ear. I could run a meeting perfectly fine, thank you. I will ask council to suspend rules temporarily in order to accept the motion on the floor to be able to add time to the clock.
I second.
Is it properly second? Any discussion? Objection, abstention, hearing none. The suspension of the rule will carry. I would like to put a motion on the floor to add 3 more minutes on the clock.
I second.
It's been probably moved and second. 3 more minutes will be added to the clock. Any discussion? Objection, abstention, hearing none. I move to come back from suspension of the rules. Can I have a second?
I second.
There's been a properly motion and second. Any discussion? Objection, abstention, hearing none. We have come back to regular meeting with a suspension of rules to be able to add 3 more minutes to the clock in order to abide by our own rules and try to make sure we don't have 2 motions on the floor. So whenever you're ready, Pink. Thank you, Pink. I know it's late, but I appreciate you sticking on, okay? I know it's a new mechanism. All right, thank you so much. So 3 minutes have been added. Pink will go ahead and use the cards in order to make sure that time is moved while we're able to figure out what while the other big clock is set on it. So there was a motion on the floor, already been repeated once by Councilmember Jacuda. It was second. The vote was already heard for those yay, those any abstention, any objections. I'm objecting.
I object.
So there is 1 vote, 2 yes, and 2 no. The motion dies. All right?
3 yeses.
Am I able to vote? Mayor,
get to vote.
I'm sorry.
We called for the vote, guys, and we've been suspended. Okay.
Okay, I'm done.
Excuse me, Mayor, just point of clarification. At that time that Ginny was going to vote, the time expired, and that's where we were.
Danielle, that wasn't the way it is. It was.
Oh, no, you're right, he asked for clarification.
Yes, for clarification, the vote had restarted. Once the vote moves, it does not stop until it carries through. So we went ahead and yay, nay, and abstentions. That was the roll call vote. If you decide not to vote when it happens, you know, it just doesn't work that way, guys.
I call for a
All right.
voice vote.
You're calling for a what?
A voice vote.
We did a voice vote.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
You just asked for objections and abstentions.
No,
You changed the voting mechanism.
Let's just breathe. Let's just breathe. We can get through this.
Now, Joseph, I'm sorry, but there was literally everybody voted by voice. This wasn't an assumption of silence. An assumption of silence would have been has said any objections, any objections. Obviously, there was yes and no. So therefore, the vote already took place.
Mayor, if I may, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
that will solve the problem.
However, no, it won't, because you're asking somebody else to not retake a vote that they didn't originally take. So we only apply to those that took the vote. That is still puts us in the same position. That means Jenny will not be doing a vote because she didn't vote it originally. If you do go ahead and do that every time, we're never gonna get out of here. That's the part that I'm trying to help you guys understand. I'm going through the motions, but at this point, we have added more than 20 minutes to an item that should not have been, carried for more additional 20 minutes.
Mayor, point of clarity.
Danielle, you have to wait for you to be called upon, correct? So, Danielle, go ahead. You have the mic.
Thank you. I think there was some confusion and overlap in speaking. This is a contentious time, Mayor. I understand. It's okay. This is our first time back in public, and it's okay. It's okay to make a mistake. I think that she asked for clarification to know what she was voting on, which is appropriate to the rules.
Time stop.
I make a motion that we add 3 more minutes to the clock.
There's a motion to the floor to add 3 more minutes to the clock. Is there a second?
Councilmember Jakuta seconds.
There is probably a second. Any discussion? Abstentions, objections, hearing none. There's 3 more minutes on it.
Thank you, Mayor. So
Danielle,
can I finish? You interrupted me with the time. I didn't feed my time.
More than 2 more minutes. We had 3 more minutes on the clock and you took all 3 minutes.
I did not take up 3 minutes, Mayor. Okay, I'm trying to get everybody just to calm down and breathe for a second. I think there was some confusion. Jenny needed clarification on the motion before she could vote. Joseph was explaining it. Time ran out. We had to suspend and add and stuff, and Jenny was not readdressed to ask for her vote. I think that's what happened, and so I would appeal to the chair to let her vote since there was that confusion.
Danielle, I will say something to you. I wish the kindness you're showing to others was shown to me. Over a simple statement, we're debating all of this. Over a simple statement of like, ask for your patience. We just spent 25 minutes debating on an item, on a motion. The rule stands. The end. We're moving on. The votes calculated. It did not pass. All right? That's where we are at. I wish, honestly, I will refrain from saying anything else. All right. Moving on to item number 9, discussion on minutes for January 6th legislative meeting. The mayor and council will have a discussion on amending the minutes for January 6th legislative meeting. Pink, are you trying to still do the big clock or you're trying to just go by the sign?
Mayor, it's not working.
Okay, so council, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you guys to please keep your track when Pink raises her the sign, so that way we are aware of what time it is running. As a reminder, it is 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and 1 minute, and wait for it to be called. If you choose to do a point of order, it is your will, but you have to wait for the chair to be able to call upon you. All right, so this is a discussion for the minutes for January 6th. These minutes have been submitted to mayor and council for over a month. Mr. Kamali, over a month now? Right?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's been over a month because they were at the work session they were ready to be voted, over a month for sure, because they were at the voting legislative meeting last week, 2 weeks ago, and 2 weeks prior, if not 3, Melissa also submitted them for a work session as part of our package, correct? So they were submitted, so you're talking about maybe put at least 5 weeks that we have reviewed these documents. So if not, I'll adjust the time, Mr. Kamali. Thank you. But I think it's been more than a month. All right, so I'm gonna go to each of the people on the council and state your comment. All right, so I'll start with what were last. It doesn't really matter anymore. It's the last 2 items. Yeah, I'll pick a ward. All right, so we're starting with Ward 2. Go ahead, Joseph.
If it pleases the mayor, I would like to request that the clerk provide us with Word copies of this set of minutes to make it easier to provide suggested edits to her in preparation for the next legislative session.
Hold on. I am sorry. I'm hearing a feedback from your mic. Are you? No, go ahead and say it again because I need to have clarity for me and the staff. Are
No
you asking
problem.
for the? Go ahead.
If it pleases the mayor or the chair, I would like to request that the city clerk provide a Word version of these minutes so that it is easier to provide suggested edits so that they can be prepared for the next legislative session. Thank you.
Okay. I want to get a little bit of clarity because there's two things that are being asked. Are you asking for the clerk to provide a Word document tonight to be able to discuss this, or to provide it for the legislative meeting?
Following the meeting, so that we can get you edits real quick, so we're prepared for the next legislative session.
I will tell you that will be in violation of things that we continue talking, and this is why I'm a little concerned about a simple resolution, because now we're going to be submitting Word documents for the next meeting, so it feels like the legislative meeting has become now an additional work session instead of a work session meeting. So I will say that she has provided the document to us at least in 3, Melissa? Yay? 3 different occasions, including tonight. We have this document in front of us. We got it 2 weeks ago and 2 weeks prior. So it's been 3 times this document on it. So if it moves to the legislative session, for us to make edits on that, it defeats the purpose for us to be coming to the work session, and that validates my fears when it comes to simple votes and approval. Just saying it touched the agenda does not qualify that we actually discussed it. And the past what we have done is like the way the former council has acted has been in a way where we go to a work session, discuss the document at length. If there's something else that needs to be added, we take it to another work session, as many work sessions as we need to be able to take them to digest it. So that way when it goes to vote, and if it goes to vote, it moves forward one way or another. But I have not per se seen it where it's in the agenda and now we move it to the work session, to the legislative body to discuss it and vote on the same day. That is something that I don't feel comfortable doing, because now you're doing a work session, a legislative meeting, and that should never be the case.
Point of clarification, are we not allowed to make changes to minutes following a work session?
Minor, very minor. If things are like significantly going to change, we don't usually make that, and same goes for like heavy resolutions. If you're going to like the last one had resolution misspoke by a letter, that's different than if you want to change and base it on what I've seen. It's like it's paragraph that wants to be added into the minutes, not just, a little date needs to be added, or there's a comma, or this person came and is not here. Even then, it could feel like you're making major changes to the minutes and not just minor to it. So yeah, so it's something minor, yeah, but it takes away from, so even if you send it, I mean, like, we cannot discuss it now in violation of what
Point of clarification, do the minutes count as a substantive resolution or an ordinance?
The minutes have to be voted by us, and then the clerk and the city manager validate that that's what basically happened. So they are record, and anything that audit pulls, including minutes and agendas for things that are approved, they will pull, and if we make significant changes, we have discussion, we could potentially be dinged for it. And that's the reason why we've done so well in the audit, because there's enough record for people to see that we have discussed it in open meeting and digested. So yeah, so they are more or less legally binding. There's people that have not been able to do their audits based on the fact that their minutes have not been completed or approved. Yeah, they're a little bit more of a bigger deal than we thought, and that was one of the reasons why we also got in trouble as Rainier, because we were behind several minutes.
I'll provide my edits for the legislative session. If folks don't want to vote on it, then that'll be up to them.
Okay. Valerie?
Thank you. As I've stated before, I think the minutes capture the meeting for the most part. If we want to add 1 or 2 things, that's something we can do. But I think at this point, we've talked about these minutes for a long time. And for people who want to deal with getting things done for the city and not process, I think this has been a long process. Thank you.
Okay. Jenny, Danielle?
I have nothing to add.
Danielle?
Yes, so the minutes, I've been on council, I'm into my third year. And since I took office in May of 2023, there have been a few adjustments done to minutes, and none of them were brought to a work session to discuss. We sent suggestions to Mr. Kamali, and they were adjusted. In fact, I remember specifically I remember meetings where that was asked. Did you get the adjustments? Did you get my tweaks? I mean, simple things like spelling and things of that nature, any kind of adjustments. I was even involved with a question of the minutes, and it was never brought to a council meeting. So the fact that we're even going through this process is foreign to me after being on council for the last couple of years. I think that there is a much easier way to streamline this. I think that, and I'm not familiar with Google Docs, I will openly admit my ignorance on that, but I do know that there is a way for people to make suggested edits and it be as designated to who made the edits. I would ask the city manager to consider that when the minutes are submitted, so that if something like, something minor, or like, hey, there were these many motions or the spelling is incorrect, it's noted in those so that you, the city manager who is responsible for the minutes, can take a look at that and make the adjustments as necessary, along with the assistance of the city clerk who makes those. Because I agree with Councilmember Woodall, this is just a lot. There are some adjustments that is on the record. I'll be more than happy to email them to you, that the different points of orders and the votes and stuff that really do need to be secured and protected in the record. That's the whole purpose of my objection before. So I would ask that be a potential easy solution to this problem, and we don't have to go through this again, because this does waste not only your time, staff's time, but it is also wasting the city's money for us to be sitting here debating this over the course of 2 meetings when it could be handled so easily through a course of emails with the city manager. Thank you.
So as a point of information or reference, we cannot use Word documents to fix documents because it's considered an open meeting violation. That is brought upon because we are making change in real time.
No, I'm sorry, point of clarification. I'm sorry, Mayor. I want to make sure you understood what I was saying. I'm not saying we're directing Mr. Kamali to make the changes. He and the city clerk have access to the record that we make the suggestions, they go back and look, and they make the appropriate, not verbatim what we're saying. I want to make sure that's clear. I'm not saying say it this way, you go back and revisit. So I just want to make sure that my original comment was clear on the record. Thank you.
Okay, I'm addressing when you say like it could be created, a Word document could be created where like the information could be submitted that way. That's what I was referring. If you're not referring up to that, that's fine. No. But I just want to make sure that for the record, that is something that we cannot do because it's open meeting violation, because we're actively touching a document. And I will say this to you. I think that I have been in the council for over years, right? And the reason why I continuously thank Mr. Kamali and Melissa when it comes to the minutes is because they're doing it the right way, and we have not been flagged for minutes violations or any wrongdoing with the minutes the way they have submit them. The reason why the clerk does them is because she's a neutral body that's able to do them. My objection with what is being asked is a lot of material is being asked that never took place in the meeting. So, and that is my concern. If we're gonna go ahead and add an item that says like this, I put a point of order, and this is the rule about it, blah 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 blah. That was never even mentioned in the meeting. We're adding extra additions to the meeting. Can it be said like, a point of order was raised? Yeah, but at the same time, we also need to add that the city attorney did review the meeting and also stated that the point carried and so on. Did both groups create and did not do it properly? 100%. That's basically what she said. Did she say like the mayor had a point on it? 100%. So if we're going to go ahead and include that, I don't want to get to the point where it's saying Robert Russellore, blah, 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 got violated when that was never verbally said at a meeting. That's where my concern is, that it feels like rules are being adjusted to include more things that didn't happen. I could sit here and say, oh, add these 3 words to it when I never said them. That's the reason why they stick very heavily to this is what it looks like, right? And they have done a good job. If not, the others will have definitely let us know that our minutes and approved agendas are not following the order that needs to happen. So in saying that, with over almost getting close to my 9th year being in council, being the senior elected official in this table, I will tell you that it has been so minor what we have asked. And, sometimes it'll be like, we did for the other resolution, Mr. Kamali, can you guys make sure that you guys edit this too? Or for the report that gave, can you make sure that they is added? And it was done. Something that has been simple, but it's never been 7 paragraphs worth of edits that need to be going into the minutes. That has never in my last 9 years happened. And that's the reason why my concern. In saying that, I will tell you that, yeah, this is taking longer than it is. And I know we have referenced the past council. The way the past council decided to deal with things and what they saw professionally was we discussed it in the work session like we're supposed to. If there's any changes or sessions, do it in an open meeting. And then we bring it up to a vote if we need to move that way. But us being stuck in putting paragraphs into the minutes has never been, and Mr. Kamali, you've been around, I know you've been city manager for only 5 years, but you've been a member of this body as a director of public works, attending several meetings. And it's always been the same. Here are the minutes, this is what needs to be corrected. But I definitely will caution, my whole caution with it is that a lot of things are being asked to include in the minute that did not happen in the same way that they're described. And this is the reason why the clerk has said, this is the motion, this is who approved it, and so on and so on.
Okay, I've been holding off. I need to make a point of clarification, please.
You already made one point of
Yeah,
clarification.
well, I've got to do another one because you're getting what happened incorrect. The record is incorrect.
Go ahead. What is
Okay,
your
thank you.
clearing of record?
In fact, I have it right here, my entire statement from the meeting, and there's not 7 paragraphs, and it included my entire statement. My ask was that the motions, the points of order, the objections, and the important parts that are outlined in Robert's rules, and I'll quote what I said. All motions are main motions to bring a main question again before the assembly, and all points of order or appeals, whether sustained or lost, together with the reasons given by the chair for her ruling, should be included in the minutes. I'm not asking for paragraphs. I'm not asking for who said what. Just the motions, the main motions, the points of order, the ruling. Those are what Robert's Rules of Order require to be in the minutes, and that's the only request I had, and I would appeal anybody to go back and look at the last meeting to confirm that. That's all I asked for, and so, yeah, there was not these paragraphs, asking for paragraphs and explanations and descriptions and everything else. That is all I asked for, and I stand by my request. Thank you.
Okay, you just lifted a paper that shows paragraphs, Danielle. That wasn't a sentence that
There
you
are
showed.
3 paragraphs.
Exactly. It is not one sentence change, Danielle. So I would say
you're
this.
not understanding
The attorney went ahead and reviewed the meeting and went ahead and on it. So if those points are going to be on it, also what the attorney decided in each of them, because at the end of the day,
Point of
like I said,
order.
we have to make sure we work through it.
Point
What
of
is your point
order.
of order, Councilmember Jacuda?
You're impugning my fellow council member. I can see from here that most of those paragraphs are citations from Robert's Rules of Order. They're not paragraphs being added to the minutes. We need to state clear
Thank you so
facts
much.
when we're
Time is
saying
up.
things.
I make a motion that we add 5 minutes to the council to the meeting.
Stop. I was gonna ask Councilman Jacuda if he wanted to, if he could make a motion. I don't need you to jump and make a motion. You have to wait your turn. Councilman Jacuda, can you please go ahead and add time so you could finish your sentence? We're zero.
I think don't we have to suspend the rules again because point of order has been made? No, I guess not. I don't know.
Time.
I'd like to make a motion to add 5 minutes to the clock.
Motion on the floor to add 5 minutes to the time. Is there a second?
Second.
You probably moved and second. Any discussion? Objection, abstention. Pink, can you go ahead and log in 5 more minutes? Ready? Go ahead.
Like I said, I'm making a point of order because you're impugning the mayor is impugning one of our council members, because I can see from here, from her paper, that she is mostly citing Robert's Rules of Order on her document, and that is not considered adding paragraphs to the minutes. Like the statement that she was trying to suggest that adding paragraphs to the minutes be stricken.
It's been declined. As in your first original statement, you said you could see from where you're sitting that paragraphs are in the paper. When we came back from time, you changed your statement to something else. Okay, that is something that that came out, and you could review in the meeting if you choose to, the original statement that you made. So, in saying that, who has not spoken yet?
Did you rule me out of order?
I did. Okay, go ahead.
I appeal the ruling of the chair.
Okay, there's been appeal. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you for adding 20 more minutes to the time. Okay, any discussion? Objection, abstentions, hearing none. There is an appeal that is made, all right, to the ruling. I will state once again what the rules are. You have to wait for your turn to be able to speak. Cutting the chair is not going to continue to work, and make it cognizant that once again we're going to be adding additional time that we do not have to spare. All right, so I'm going to go to each of the members of the council to be able to go on it, and also please be minded that if you continue to do point of orders with no point of order just to disturb what I have to say, that also tells me you continue to disturb the meeting for no particular reason. All right, so go ahead, Joseph. Anything else to add?
As I stated, I can clearly see here from the council member to my right that the document has multiple long citations to Robert's Rules of Order. Those are not paragraphs that are being added to the minutes. They're citations justifying her reasoning for including the small edits. I would like, well, I guess to resolve the issue, there should be an apology.
Valerie?
I have nothing to add to this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Danielle?
Yes, I appeal because that's basically what you were doing. You were impugning my reputation by saying that I had paragraphs that I wanted to include. I will be more than happy to read these 3 paragraphs, which had nothing to do with adding anything to substance other than requesting that points of order, appeals, and whether they were lost, sustained, the whole thing, those things be added. I would also like to, because I hear this every stinking meeting, if we are here till 11 o'clock at night, we are doing the business of the people who elected us. If we're here at 10 o'clock at night, we're doing the business of the people who elected us. Adding 5 more minutes to discuss things that are important to the people who elected us is a minor ask. And I would ask the chair to please stop doing it.
You don't have to be reprimanded.
You are offending me, and you are offending the people who I represent in Ward 1.
You cannot be reprimanding me. So that is a reprimation, but I definitely love to see how many of you guys jump to tell the council member she should not be reprimanding the chair that way. And I do represent the whole entire city as well. So thank you very much. Jenny, go ahead.
I have nothing to add, Mayor.
I will make my statement. Once again, the council member also stated there were paragraphs she could read about what it is. Maybe what we need to do is have clarity on what is it specifically that she wants to add the minutes. To my feeling and knowledge, what was submitted was various paragraphs with additional citations or Robert's Rules of Orders that she wants to be included in the minute that were not verbally expressed at a meeting. This is and 2 different members of council have stated there were paragraphs or citations of paragraph information. So I know I'm not saying anything different than you guys are saying in that way, but it's interesting to me how I'm being impugned of like repeating the same thing you guys are saying. So by your own rules, you guys need to be impugning your own self because that's exactly what you're doing. And when I draw attention to the time, I'm trying to make sure we know that we need to make sure we move forward. Thank you so much, Pink.
At the risk of being yelled at, I'd like to add 3 more minutes to this line item so that we can finish discussions.
You cannot continue reprimanding me, Danielle.
I'm not reprimanding you, I'm adding 3 minutes. I made a motion.
Stop. The minute you said at the dangers of being yelled at, that's a reprimand, Danielle. That's a problem that you guys continue to do. It's good. You cannot have it both ways. If I make a simple statement as like, ask for patient, I'm being reprimanding you, but then you're telling me I'm going to be yelling at you, it's not the same issue. So I would say you need to stop. The other thing is like, you know very clear that you need to wait to be called upon. Simple as that. And you don't. For you to say that you're going to be yelled at, it's obviously something you should not be doing. And you know that very well, Danielle. For those members of the public, we are currently still in discussion of minutes for January 6th, 2026 legislative meeting. There is a motion on the floor. I will have to, at this point, suspend the rules to be able to add, since we cannot have 2 different motions on the floor at the same time. For the second time tonight, I am asking the council to be able to suspend the rules in order to be able to add additional time to the motion with adding 3 more minutes to the clock. Is there a motion to suspend the agenda in order for us to be able to add more time? Okay. Hearing none, this item goes ahead and dies. All right, moving on to item number 10, presentation of minutes.
We need to have a vote on the appeal. A time running out does not let us not vote on an appeal.
I just asked you guys to add more time to the agenda because there's no more time left, and none of you guys spoke up. So move to the next item. So we're going to be moving on to item number 10.
I made the motion.
Oh, my goodness. I asked for the motion on the floor to suspend the rules to make sure we added more time. Did anybody second this motion?
There was a motion on the floor. You had to ask me to withdraw my motion there. I'm sorry.
There's a motion that was made by Councilmember Jakuda, so there's 2 motions on the floor at this point.
Correct. I can withdraw my motion, and you can ask for that motion, and then it will carry.
So I would tell you that based on the last email that the lawyer said, it says that that could be in violation of the meeting. So we go ahead and have 2 motions on the floor to move forward. All I ask, Danielle, it's not your turn to speak. All I ask is if we could suspend the rules to add more time. If you want to continue this, just add more time. None of you guys want to add more time, so we're supposed to move forward with no time added to the meeting?
I'm sorry, it was my misunderstanding. I thought I was going to need to withdraw my motion to add time. I make the motion to suspend the rules to add more time to the clock.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second to suspend the rules to be able to add more time to be able to discuss this item. Thank you guys so much. All right, moving on to while we're in suspension of rules, I would like to make a motion on the floor to be able to discuss this item for 3 more minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been probably moved and second. Coming back from suspension rule, can I have a motion of the rules to be able to come back from suspension of the rules?
I make a motion to come back from suspension of the rules.
Can I have a second?
I second.
It's been probably moved and second. We are back line up on the agenda item, and we have requested for 3 more minutes to be added to the agenda item. Okay.
I rise.
In saying that, there is a motion currently on the floor to challenge the chair's decision when it came to reprimanding an elected official on the board, stating that there were paragraphs, and no paragraphs that the 2 members decided to show the word paragraphs. I think more or less as a summary of what just happened. I will, as a point of information, I will caution that even if we move forward with it, the video recording will showcase that the statements were made by 2 council members as well, and neither one were reprimanded for the same exact words. All right, so there's a motion, the second, there's discussion, and we have a little over 2 minutes. Is there additional discussion, or should I be calling the vote? So I'm gonna go to work to figure out if you guys wanna have the additional discussion or not. Valerie,
I think we should move forward with the vote.
are you calling the question?
Yes, I call the question.
There's a call the question to be made. Any, let me do voice vote because you guys go back and forth and you guys need to like follow through with this. All right, Joseph,
Aye.
Valerie,
No.
Danielle,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
and I am a no. The motion carries. However, there's an asterisk that we made about viewing the meeting as well to make sure we acknowledge that two council members make sure they make the same exact statement. All right. Moving on to item number 10, presentation of minutes. The city clerk will present the February 3rd, 2026 legislative meeting minutes. They are in your package. If you have any feedback on them, please let us know at a work session in order for us to be able to discuss them. And I did not see any amendments submitted to the package for the minutes that were on it. I definitely would appreciate if council makes sure that if there's anything they submitted on time on the package in order for us to be able to review. Because trying for us to have a conversation with nothing in front of us is very difficult. Okay, go ahead, Valerie.
Thank you. Is this the time when we should be reviewing them, or we're just being presented them and then?
We are just being presenting, that's it.
So if people have changes to these minutes, they would do what? They would email the city clerk, correct?
They submit it to the city manager, who will send it to the city clerk. But ideally, what we should have done is like, if there was anything that needed to be on it, was submit it to the city manager ahead of time, so that would be included in the work session package prior to the meeting, in order to make sure that the city manager and clerk had time to review what they submitted in the package, so that way us and the community would have had enough time to review the minutes when the package went live. And Friday was when the package went live, Mr. Kamali? So before Friday, in order to make sure that we had a document in front, but we also don't have a document in front of us.
Okay, but can I just clarify, to be clear, the package is not submitted to the council until right before it goes public. So there's very little time to address the minutes at the time, correct? So the time to submit questions to the clerk and the city manager is between the package being presented and the council meeting, so that we're aware that there will be changes, correct? Okay, thank you.
Correct. Joseph?
I have a question. Given that there was a holiday on Monday, would there even have been time to have turned around any edits? Because the last time there was a holiday, things did not happen with the packet as expected.
Okay.
I'm sorry, could you repeat, because I cannot, yeah,
No, last time we had a holiday, right before our Tuesday meeting, we had submitted changes to the work session after hours on Friday, which is about the same time that we would have submitted any edits according to the schedule to the minutes, yet they weren't included in the packet when we met on Tuesday, and we were reprimanded for that. And now we're being asked again over a holiday weekend to have provided the minutes, even though the previous example was that they would not have been included because there wasn't time, which is fair to the city staff. I'm not mad at the city staff, but this is the exact same scenario we just had when it came to the meeting right after MLK Day, when we did put stuff into the agenda packet and it wasn't included.
As a point of clarity, when it came to the meeting, it was asked by the staff if you guys could please share with everybody else, so that way we'll all be in the same page, and that way they were not in between, in order to account for the fact that they came in late. There's a couple holidays where it lands on Monday and we have a meeting on Tuesday. You know, what the staff has asked is to be flexible enough to understand that in those times, more time might be needed to submit, but also like if we could share the minutes with all the additions and stuff that we need to talk in the agenda to the rest of the council, it will facilitate the job for them and for us as well. All right, so I want to make sure that point is clear. That's the way the staff felt like it could help them if some things are submitted. But again, the information of the agenda goes in a little bit earlier if we need to adjust something when it comes to holidays, we'll go ahead and do it. So this might be, again, this is just a presentation of the minutes. So if this means that we have to like sit on those minutes a little longer in order to like submit them, and that way the community needs to like review them, that's what we're gonna have to do, right? In saying that, I will tell you that it was a big miss for us to have this meeting today. Today is Ramadan and Lunar New Year. And I already got an email from one of the residents letting me know that they will really appreciate it if we do not have a meeting on this day for obvious reasons, right? So we will have to like potentially discuss if in the future we need to move the day for our meetings after a holiday to give the staff enough time or not. So in saying that, Joseph, I'm acknowledging what you're saying. And some adjustment might need to take place, but in general, that's what the rule they want to do it. If we want to go ahead and submit something else to adjust for the holidays, it might be something that we need to do. All right? But it definitely helps the staff if you send the documents to everybody else, so that way it's not just dependent on them to be able to submit it to us. All right, Danielle?
What? Oh, I don't have any comment. I'm good.
Can I have a motion on the floor for 2 more minutes, please, Pink? Hold on. Go ahead, Danielle.
I make a motion that we add 2 more minutes to the line item, please. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you could make a motion. I second.
Yep. The chair of the city of Rainier could make a motion because I don't have veto power. That is the standard of me not having veto power on it. So I want to make sure that no, you made a statement. I'm trying to clarify it. It's not uncommon for people to think that way because it's the standard in other cities. All right, Jenny, I wanted to make sure you had time to speak. Go ahead.
I have nothing to say, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Melissa and Mr. Kamali, once again, I want to thank the staff for doing such a wonderful job with the minutes. I know it takes a long time to get this together and make sure that you guys meet the various requirements, and the fact that we have minutes submitted like literally the meeting after, it speaks volumes of how professional you guys are. In the past, it would take like weeks and months for us to even see a minute in front. So I definitely appreciate the hard work that you and the staff do to make sure we follow through with this. All right. Moving on to item number 11, adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Is you're probably moving second. Any discussion? Objections, abstentions, hearing none. Once again, happy Lunar Year to our wonderful community, and happy Ramadan as well. We look forward to seeing you guys very soon. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, guys. I don't know if they can hear it.